And welcome to the stream, Roehampton. We are back once again, another NSE day, and it is going to be a bit of a banger. First game is going to be Roehampton taking on Glasgow. I am Jay Real, and I'm joined by, well, it's your first time colour casting.
Yeah, on live broadcast, yeah.
It's I really hope I said that right.
Yeah, that's good.
And it's going to be a bit of a banger. You know, I'm excited to get into these games. Draft has started, so we're not going to hold on for too long. We're going to jump straight to that one.
Yeah, a few bands coming through originally, and that is the Rengar, Zeri, Rakan, and Camille. I'm imagining that the Rengar in particular is a pocket pick, whereas the other three have been prioritised quite a lot recently.
Yeah, the Rengar, well, we've seen Dez play it quite a bit in the last season. Pretty much was the main pick, except for maybe like a Talon, and they threw in there a little bit as well. So has been strong for them. But we saw last week they have other picks. You know, they've got Xin Zhao as well. They have new, more meta picks, and we are going to see the Vex band as well. Which, to be honest, I'm really surprised. Okay, I don't know if you know much about Roe, but their mid laner is a Zoe one trick, and it is disgusting.
It is currently open actually, assuming that we are on the blue side, which I'm not entirely sure about. Actually, which side is which, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, Roe is definitely on red because Kolsch, the top laner for Glasgow, is a Camille player, and the Vex was played last week. The Rengar also something that Roe plays, so I'm assuming heavily that we're on the red side.
All right, then we'll see how the first pick goes. Obviously, B1 coming through right now, but yep, Vex. Definitely a strong mid lane pick right now, has potential to go in and do a lot of damage, but I'm not too keen on it being a priority ban. I don't think it's one of the OPs on this patch. I mean, Victor Corki's still very much open. You have both ADs open, so it's very likely to just be a Jinx Aphelios trade. But no, we get Hecarim, who is currently abusing the Chem Tank yet again.
Yeah, and to be fair, throwback to last season, like, man, I really dislike Hecarim. I think he's super annoying. Like, we talked about this last week actually on stream. It's like, he's tanky, he does damage, he one-shots, he's mobile. It's like, this is just everything.
Yeah, kind of does everything. Has the CC too, you know, Onslaught of Shadows, go in, fear a bunch of people, knock back.
It's just, bruv, you just made Exodia. Like, that's what we're saying here, and that's not okay. Like, there's a reason that got dashed in the sea quickly, so, I don't know, maybe they'll nerf Hecarim sometime soon, hopefully so. But Jinx, Karma being locked up here, I would say a pretty standard bot lane.
Yeah, relatively common. Jinx, of course, being the most played champion in all regions right now, currently sitting at above 300 games, which is ridiculous. And the highest pro presence of any champion in the game. Very powerful, and this is namely because of the range buff that she had many, many patches ago. Karma, of course, being able to support that, give some move speed, give some shielding, and then provide that to the rest of the team, as we do get the Kali on the other side.
Yeah, Kali, well, another champion I don't like. There are a lot of champions I don't like. Kali, though,
getting everything today.
is definitely one. I think it's very strong. You know, obviously, there is that flexibility of top lane or mid lane. Really good at taking out people like the Jinx. And I will say, just quickly on the Jinx point, we did see it last week, and it was a bit of a pop-off. I believe they played it all 3 games, and all 3 were wins.
Yeah, certainly very powerful right now. Also sitting at a high win rate, of course. Outside of that, but we have an Ezreal, which right now, I'm not too keen on this. Obviously, it is quite a safe pick, and they have the Karma, but they have locked in. Problem is with the Ezreal here is it doesn't necessarily fit stylistically too well into team comp. You have a Kali Hecarim, they really want to go in, whereas Ezreal kind of wants to poke back, sit back, kite back, and that doesn't really fit with your team theme.
Yeah, the only saving grace I'll say is that they're not going to look to peel for him. So at least he has his own peel if there is the side of Roe deciding to maybe go for some dive. But yeah, that is not dive, and that is a scary pick indeed.
Yeah, Savagery Zoe known to be a threat, to say the least. And if I remember correctly, in the North Finals some time ago, it was permabanned. And in most matches, it is permabanned. But we do get to see it today, and we are expecting a lot of priority around the mid lane.
Yeah, in the wise words of Pedro, when I first started casting Roe, a long time ago, well, last split, he was like, we're going to see this once and one time only. And, well, we saw it a few times, and every time it pops off. So I'm expecting big things from the Zoe. And I quite like the composition of Roehampton so far. They have a lot of range. You talked about composition identity from the side of Glasgow, but I feel like Roe have kind of got it on lock. They've got that long range. They've got that poke. They're setting up nicely. All they need now is a bit of engage.
Yeah, absolutely. They do definitely need that, or else they won't be able to force fights from situations because, yes, Hecarim and Kali want to play into you, so you're looking for more area control. So stuff like an Orianna control mage and mid lane can definitely help with that, but you definitely need some front line to be able to ward that off, provide some CC, and perhaps some peel.
Yeah, and it's definitely in their wheelhouse. You know, Jojo notoriously playing tanks, so things like Sion, Ornn, all up there. Maybe we even see some aggression from him in things like the Graves. I think for this game, probably not necessarily needed. But from the jungle, I am a little bit interested to see what Dez is going to play. Obviously, does have the Jhin. It is still available, so maybe we see a little bit of an opt-in for that.
Yeah, currently we have a Poppy coming through as the bans with Yuumi and Leona on the other side. Yuumi is really nice here, denying the Ezreal Yuumi, just sit in lane, completely deny all priority. You sit back, relax, and play for other lanes, so clearly there is some... Obviously, you don't want that to happen. Jinx Calm can actually be quite threatening in the lane situation, and Akshan currently, I mean, it's a really strong blind, but I don't really think that's something that Ro would want to pick up here, given their current team comp. We see a Vi Hover, which would provide the engage, but I'm not convinced that's be locked in. It could be a proxy. Well, actually, it wouldn't be because it's pro draft.
Oh, they're just trying to flick through their options here. The Jhin, the Viego is going to be where they land. And to be fair, a strong pickup again. Not exactly the tank that we were talking about, but we can still get that from the top lane. But definitely a strong presence in this game. And we talk about resets with Jinx, but resets with Viego.
Yeah, just planning on getting all of the resets right now. And something Viego does have is that X factor when it comes to team fights and skirmishes, and does actually do quite well when people try to play into him, because then it's like, oh, well, you get enough poke damage off, then something engages, you get a reset, and then it kind of just stems from there. So there is always the Viego factor that you have to watch out for.
I do like the Brom. I'll say that. I like the Brom. It goes well with Ezreal. It does give a bit of CC. You can block the Zoe paddle stars as well. So there is a bit of flexibility there, as we are going to see the Wukong locked in the top side. So an aggressive play in the solo lanes. A lot of dive coming out from this comp.
Yeah, definitely a lot of that. And at the end of the day, even though Ezreal does prefer to poke around, he still can go in. He has the Arcane Shift to be able to do that and still pump out a lot of damage with it. But yeah, you want to look into dive, and on the side of Ro, well, you need to set up around objectives first, or else you're not going to have a very fun time. But that is a Malphite, and that is a way of getting hard engages off.
Yeah. Well, admittedly, we saw it last week. Jojo, we're looking at you. Stop missing those ultimates, okay? We see you. We saw that last week. He also went AP last week.
Okay.
Yeah, so it wasn't full tank, but obviously into this game, a lot of AD threats here. The Wukong, the Hecarim, the Ezreal. Definitely has the capabilities to just build lots and lots of armor. The only person that can maybe get around that is the Akali, but it's pretty hard to do damage when you're up in the air.
Yeah, definitely. There's some good team fight structures going on for both teams. Of course, Blue just kind of want to run it into them literally just death ball into Roehampton. Roehampton need the setup, get the range. But one thing I'm a little bit concerned about, at least on side of Roehampton, is how the mid jungle is going to react, because Viego isn't the best at setting up Zoe, and we are expecting Ro to be able to play for that mid lane, given that it is savagery on this champion. So that will be interesting to watch.
Yeah, 100%. And we've lost draft, and I've kind of forgotten half the champions that were picked. But it's A-okay. It's no worries going forward. Yeah, the Zoe is definitely going to be a point of contention. Obviously, Akali is going to have a way to do things around the Zoe. Obviously, does have a lot of mobility, able to move in close and cause some problems. But to be honest, if this scales, I'd see a very, very difficult way back into the game for the side of Glasgow. I think they kind of have to get ahead and stay ahead. Otherwise, it's just all Roehampton.
Yeah, definitely, potentially. That might be the problem, because you have, I mean, the Kali one behind doesn't really have a fun time. Wukong, at the end of the day, can provide some CC with the Cyclone in fights if he's behind. But again, it's another champion which you really want to be ahead on, because then you can pull off flanks and do a real amount of damage in those situations. But they definitely have the opportunity to do that, because Hecarim is a massive early game facilitator.
Yeah, 100%. And we talked about where you expect Ro to play around, but also for the Hecarim, those top two solo lanes, it has to be the way to play. You know, obviously Ezreal, not going to really be the most threatening. Yes, they have the Brom to maybe set up for a bit of CC, but at the end of the day, like, come on, the solo laners are surely the key to victory here.
Yeah, definitely that. So, I mean, at least I'm expecting bot lane, just sit there. Braum Ezreal, really hard to play into, really safe as well. You have the Unbreakable, you have the Arcane Shift, just leave them on weak side to do their own thing, and use that Hecarim to play for maybe the Akali on some situations, but I'm expecting more of that to go to the Wukong, as it is a Malphite. Yes, Malphite can be quite annoying with the armor, but in most situations, Wukong should be winning out on these trades, and he's definitely diveable.
Yeah, pre-6 as well. Like, that's where you can really make it count,
exactly.
You know? Like, obviously, once Malphite get sick, things become a little bit more scary. You know, you might be a fast horse, but that knock-up is unstoppable, as it said on the tin. And they also have to be a little bit careful about the Viego. You know, obviously, notoriously good at counter, ganking, plus Viego gets ahead. Well, it's just a bit of a story. And I feel like Roehampton, we talked about it a bit last week. They just love quick games. All right, they love these 26-minute games. But they picked quite a late game team comp here, so I do wonder if they're going to be quite aggressive in this early game.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see exactly where the priority lies in this, because really the Viego should just be looking to counter jungle and counter gank, as you say, because, I mean, it's hard setup for Malphite pre-6. It's really hard setup for Zoe unless Savagery does land a bubble. If you land a bubble and you have the situation, you have the gank setup, maybe you can make something happen, but Viego does have the farm speed, he does have the counter jungle, so that's what I'm expecting out of Descaro. But that's still not necessarily the most early game pressure you can put out. So I think there is a level of, well, let's see if we can resist that. Let the Jinx get some gold, let the Zoe get some gold, and then wait for Malphite to pull some engages off, and then you win team fights on the back of that.
Yeah, and I guess one question I want to pose to you is, there's the aspect of, okay, we get our solo laners ahead, we put a lot of pressure into Wukong, we put a lot of pressure into Akali, but if you do leave this bot lane, is there that world where Jinx just starts to build that lead on their own, gets pretty strong, and then still stays a threat? Or do you think that because of the solo laners being so aggressive, having that dive threat, it's almost like, okay, if we can guarantee those two lanes winning, Jinx isn't a problem?
Yeah, obviously this is partly mitigated by the karma. It just depends on how much the bot lane accelerates. Something that Roe can do is recognize, well, they're going to play for top. This is admittedly quite a safe bot lane, but if our bot lane's able to keep pushing, get plates, there is potential for a dive or just the ability to just threaten them away. In a situation where you're pushing and going for plates, you can pop Rift Herald down there if you have that opportunity, or if you just have Viego hover, Braum and Ezreal can't stay under tower because they're in the situation where, well, they can both die to a dive. You can then zone them off XP, and you can get free plates that way. So potentially this Jinx could get enough gold in her pocket to be a threat, but it depends on how well that lane goes, because there's a lot of problems there that could happen when pushing in, because Hecarim can come down, and at the same time, Ezreal Braum is very, very tenacious.
Yeah, no, 100%. Obviously, Ezreal able to jump away. Braum can follow the shield to give that lack of damage. Obviously, when they get level 6, the knockup as well can come through from the Glacial Fissure. And, man, I don't know. This is a mix-up for me. I feel like it's two pretty good drafts. I think a lot can happen. Two teams playing completely different games as well. You know, early game from the side of Glasgow, mainly focused solo lanes. Late game for the side of Roe, mainly focusing bot and mid. You know, I'm liking this a lot. We'll have to see who can basically do what better to come out ahead. But I'm not gonna lie, I'm feeling confident if I'm Roe.
Yeah.
You know, 3-0 after the first week makes you feel almost invincible.
Yeah, absolutely. You got the record here, you have the level. It's whether you can execute in the end, and that is something that Roe honestly has on their side. You have Savagery on comfort, Malphite is generally quite easy to play. Viego has that factor in team fights, so if anything, I mean, to be honest, both comps aren't too hard to execute, but the only thing you have to bear in mind as Roehampton is you do need to get set up first around key objectives, or else you're not going to have a very hard time. You will be relying on the Malphite to get value.
Alright, talking about objectives, which dragon, if you were Roehampton, would you want as the sole point right now?
I mean, all I'm going to say, just don't be Cloud Soul.
True.
Just don't be Cloud Soul.
True. Okay, I like that a lot. That's a good answer. I think Hextech would be nice because obviously of the Jinx, but you could always argue Infernal. You could always argue Mountain. It's really hard to pick between them. I think, well, I was going to say Ocean, maybe not the greatest, but actually, you know what, it'd be good as well. I think you are correct.
The problem with Cloud Soul is it's nice, and some champions can use it quite well, okay? So, I mean, Viego can get a lot of move speed out of that value, Karma can, because she's proccing that quite often, so that's generally up on cooldown. Jinx can actually get a lot of speed, which can help with kiting, but the problem with Cloud Soul is it isn't impactful enough to be a win con. And as a team that likes to scale up a little bit, you know, having a dragon that can help you do that and help you get a little bit of extra oomph in fights is nice. If it's a Cloud Soul, well, you don't get that. You get a nice little move speed bonus and you get some passive move speed and slow resist, but does it really matter?
I do agree with you. I think Hecarim would be pretty happy with the Cloud Soul, but apart from that, everyone else in the game is going to be like, I'd rather something else, you know? It's like when you get a Christmas present and it's just kind of like socks. It's like
it's nice.
It's nice.
But, you know, I'd appreciate something else.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think that there are a few champions in the game that I think Cloud Soul is just like chef's kiss. Like I think if you're playing Olaf,
Oh yeah,
it's just like,
really good.
oh man,
Yeah.
it's so good. But in this game, I do agree with you, not particularly applicable. We are going to be jumping into game very shortly though. Game 1 getting underway. Glasgow versus Roe. Who will come out on top? Let us know in the Twitch chat to hear your voice.
Absolutely, very excited for this one. Some interesting stuff we have going. I mean, obviously the great thing about this level of league is that you get more sort of, not necessarily off-meta picks, but picks that you don't necessarily see quite as frequently. And that's always quite exciting to watch. I mean, this game we have relatively typical stuff, but, you know, Kali hasn't been played quite as much recently. And, you know, Braum, you see it relatively often, but it's not one of the top supports. And, you know, it's just nice to see.
No, it is nice to see indeed, and I like that they didn't line up for us as well. We're gonna have to sort that all out when we get into the game. You know, we're gonna have to move them all around.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ignite Akali, I like it. You know, I don't really know why you take flash on Akali. She has like 60 dashes.
This is true.
I do like the Ignite. I like that also. It's playing into that Zoe. You know, like you are wanting to look for those early kills, like we said, securing those ones. And any other runes or summoners that you think are a little bit weird or funky?
Nothing too out of the ordinary here. They all seem relatively standard. I mean, you've got Conqueror Wukong, Conqueror Ezreal. This is all normal. I mean, Phase Rush on the Hecarim has been seen a lot. Phase Rush with the Ghost, you do a lot of damage with that, and you get the extra mobility. But occasionally you will see Conqueror or Predator coming through. That's probably more of the unusual stuff, but honestly, very standard rune setups for all these champions.
Yeah, and I want to quickly ask you, because we have a bug on our screen. Right?
Oh, Lord.
And this is a pretty standard buff.
This is, yeah.
And actually, I'll say, I was on a cast yesterday, and this is my favorite bug in the game.
Really?
I was asked, what's your favorite bug in League of Legends? And this is my favorite, because it's really easy to get past. You know, it's not too detrimental to the stream. You can just click past it. You get into the game nice and smooth, you know. It's
although I will say, sometimes it happens, and then you can't click past it, and then you exit spectator and can't get back in.
Ooh,
which can happen sometimes, and then you just have to skip the game.
Yeah, that's rough. That is rough.
But that's more to do with just League Climb being spaghetti code, and I feel like I say it every time we encounter a bug, but I feel like it's a rite of passage as a League player to experience these things.
But what's your favorite bug? I've got to throw that one back. I'll let you think about that for a second, because I sprung that one on you. You weren't ready for that one. We did actually talk about a few bugs before. Obviously, if you guys remember at home, the Poppy bug that was available for a very short amount of time, where Poppy could just do damage to everything on the map. I'm very glad that that's removed.
Yeah, I mean, Kane had that a while back. As for bugs, I think my favourite is actually, you know, after a pause, you actually get that extended pause duration, and that has baited me multiple times into freezes.
True.
So.
It is, yeah, I still don't really know why that happens, but I don't know. Maybe someone can explain it to me at some point. Who knows? But getting into this game, teams are ready to go, but they're going to sit pretty standard. You know, they're not going to go for any crazy stuff in the level 1s. They're all just going to kind of set up. I was going to say 5 point, but I don't know. It's more like 4 from the side of Glasgow.
Yeah, just some warding in the top side of the bottom river. Savagery did spot the ward out from Glasgow, so they will know that there is a blue ward there. If Deskro will decide to invade, that will be spotted by the enemy team, but I doubt that will happen. Just starting top to bottom for both junglers.
Yeah, an interesting Hecarim there, starting the blue buff. Obviously, going to be pathing down to that bot side. We talked a little bit about him moving up to the top side, so they said, you know, we're not going to take your plan, or at least not in the first few levels.
Yeah, something Hecarim does like to do is just clear. So, might just be doing full clear, maybe look for something and just be there, because if you're expecting Deskro to come down, then you're there for a counter gank, and if he's not, well, reset, back, buy, and clear again.
Yeah, back by clear again. Definitely a bit of a vibe. For both junglers, to be fair, as you said, like can get that level 6 pretty fast. Obviously, Hecarim notoriously good at getting the quick level 6. It's talking about quick levels. Kolsch getting that level 2 early, able to get a bit of a trade onto Jojo in that top side.
Yeah, just some pretty standard stuff. I mean, we do expect this Wukong will have the priority. Jojo will probably be down in farm for a little bit. As the Malphite, you don't really have so much early game pressure into Wukong, who also gets armor from his passive, very, very annoying to deal with in skirmishes, and has the extra sustain from the D shield as well. But outside of that, I mean, you expect winning top. Mid, Akali should be down a little bit, and we're expecting winning bot for Roe.
Yeah, we'll see if they can really make it work. I will say, once again, it was some really fabulous performances on that Jinx last week. So definitely a big win con for Roe that they know that they can use as well. If they've got the pedigree on it, they've seen it before, it can definitely happen again.
Yep, certainly. I mean, we see it already, just starting to keep pushing in, just slow pushing in the bot lane, and eventually you will crash that wave. Probably looking for a reset here, especially if you are aware of where the Hecarim is. But you do also have Deskro on the bot side, so you're very safe to get this stacked wave crashed in, and that's a really, really nice reset timer.
Oh, and a bit of poke there. Just going to go slightly wide there from NBA Hookboy, and once again, Croc able to just dodge out a lot of this stuff as Jinx trying to land them zaps, but not really getting it. But they are getting the push that we talked about. They are going to get that pressure onto those tower plates.
Yep, I mean, deciding not to take one here, I mean, that's absolutely fine. You know roughly where Hecarim is. He's not in position to threaten you. You have jungle on bot side, so you're pretty safe to keep doing this. Hecarim is, however, in the top side with the Wukong, so Jojo might be in a bit of trouble here.
Jojo indeed could be. There's the ghost being propped already. Good flash from Jojo, but it might be a little bit early as he's going to be pushed back. But will they have the damage? It is a no. Flash for Ghost. Going to be worth it, especially if they can counter gank. Oh, so go for another gank.
Yeah, obviously, what's something that is good about getting this flash early is the fact that you can keep pressuring the Malphite, and the next time if you decide to tower dive him, he will not have that resource, as we do see Kolsch going for the Cull and top lane, very confident here.
Looking to extend that lead, get that farm, get that extra gold in his back pocket, but does it maybe slow down his early aggression, you know, not necessarily having those damage items?
Yeah, I think it's a situation where you think, well, it's a Malphite, we can dive, but that's not a guarantee. But speaking of dives, we have 4 people in the bot lane.
Oh, here they come, and it's going to be a bit of a rough time for Ezreal. Immediately taken off the board. Dez finding the damage they needed, but will go down to the Ignite in the towers as Midnight trying to stay alive. Going to flash over the wall, but it's just a death sentence for him. Jinx going to be able to pick up the kill. 2 for 1. Better than I think I would have expected for Glasgow, but still a all positive for Roe.
Yeah, definitely great from Glasgow there, and being able to pick up that 1 kill, but Savagery is able to get the roam there and pretty much get the pro. Really good from Savage to recognize that and make that play. Unfortunate, of course, because Deskro did have the Ignite on, so that was not great.
Yeah, and we'll lose a little bit of tempo in the jungle, but I don't know if it's going to really mean too much for them. Obviously, we talked about the late game scaling, still going positive, getting the Jinx to kills. I think all in all, still pretty worth.
Yep, absolutely. And yep, Malphite just getting pushed in. Pretty standard from Wukong. Wukong can probably just look for another reset here if he wants to. That won't be anything else. Pretty sound clears from both junglers. Nothing else really happening at the moment. Just kind of waiting for objectives to spawn. And I believe, is that Ocean or is that that's a Hextech first dragon?
Yeah, Hextech first Drake. And to be fair, I like the addition of Hextech. You know, I did not like Chemtech. I'm very glad that they got rid of Chemtech.
Everyone preferred having Chemtech out of the game.
Yeah, it's to be fair, I feel like it's one of those moments where you're kind of like, what did you expect to happen?
Yeah.
You know, how can this not be seen as broken?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Having Scion passive and 5 people, that seems fine to me.
Yeah, with no cooldown as
well.
well.
No, absolutely fine.
But we are going to see a bit of a problem for Hookboy. He wishes he had that Scion passive as the Hecarim is going to charge forward, but Dez is there and able to turn around this gank, and the zap just going to hit onto the Ezreal. So Hecarim going to be able to get away, but not necessarily getting what he looked for. You know, obviously playing aggressive and then having to just run back to his jungle. Maybe this opens up an opportunity for either a 4-man dive into bot side again or the early trade.
So this is absolutely amazing for Roehampton here. This denies the priority that the Glasgow bot lane did just build up. They wanted to set up the objective. We have a bubble coming through. Probably won't result in the kill though.
Rom staying alive for a little bit longer, but he is going to finally fall down, and it might be Ezreal as well, just able to get out. But there is Sav stepping forward, Ignite ticking over, but it's not going to be enough. Just survives by a hair, and I do think that is going to be the first Drake over to Roe.
I will eat my words. Absolutely wasn't enough damage. You did have the Zoe there to be able to put out the combo, and I guess Viego did contribute to that. That will be a free Drake. Really, really good. You want to get these stacking as Roehampton. Also, I mean, the stats are just great. CDR, CDR ability haste, and the attack speed for the Jinx as well. And that's actually a really big early lead.
Yeah, really a big lead. And to be honest, it's Roehampton style. You know, they like an early game win. They like to build those leads and just push it to the limit, regardless of whether they pick early game or late game, which, I don't know. Maybe they just decided, you know, these rules don't apply to us.
I mean, at the end of the day, if you accelerate a Jinx, you accelerate a Jinx, and that means she gets to those item spikes quicker. She's a scaling champion, but I mean, at the end of the day, if she's at 10 kills by 15 minutes, then she's not really a scaling champion because she's just going to kill you anyway.
Indeed, if she is able to get ahead, and obviously, as we can see, a 1,100 lead to the Jinx, which is almost a BF sword, which is, well, you're the ADC here. It's a huge difference in my eyes, at least, as we are going to see Hook Boy in a little bit of trouble. And, well, actually, just deciding that he's not. He's just going to get the root down and walk away.
Yep, Karma just does that. Pops the shield, pops the W. Can't really do much about that as a Hecarim. Honestly, you're a very sad pony right now. You haven't been able to put up the map pressure you want to. And because everyone in Roehampton's currently in the top lane, I don't know how well this gank's going to go.
That is going to be the Cyclone pretty early used, but Jojo's just able to walk away. Didn't even need to ult. So, yeah, definitely... well, they've also brought 4 members. This was a very over-planned and poorly executed play from Glasgow.
Yep, the idea was there. You brought 4 members up, but it was a little bit late, and you didn't really have everyone there in the moment to be able to capitalize on the engage, so it was kind of just all for nothing. Regardless of that, Roehampton had the numbers there, and if you did go any further, I don't think it would have worked out very well.
Well, they do say risk it for a biscuit.
Yeah.
They decided not to risk it, but what biscuit would you risk it for?
Not taking biscuits.
Wait, what?
Not taking biscuits. I mean, we currently have a few champions currently that have taken the biscuits this game. Very much do not like that rune. But I will... I mean, it's not quite so bad on mid laners like Zoe who do need the mana early game and such. But biscuits is a general rune. It is very much overtaken. Please do not take it on Xin. I've seen this too many times. It's bad. Don't do it.
You give me a unique answer there, you know. Like, I've heard bourbons, I've heard digestives. You just said no biscuits, which is fair enough.
Biscuits are bad.
Yeah, to be fair, it does make the lane a little bit boring, you know, if you go biscuits plus what is it, time warp tonic.
Yeah.
It's just, come on, man. Like, we just know you're not trying to die. As talking about not trying to die, Ezreal in a lot of trouble here. He's going to get hit with the rocket. One more should do it, and he's going to go down. Hecarim has turned around this gank, but I don't think the outcome is going to change as this get excited Jinx is just firing away these rockets. But Hecarim a little bit too tanky to get taken at this moment.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what Lee Cinderella really wanted to do there. I guess you want to try and save the Ezreal, but it was kind of a lost cause at that point. You're just trying to follow up with a Braum. You don't have the damage to do that. And now your ult's gone, so you can't make a play somewhere else. So, I get the idea, but the execution just wasn't there.
Yeah, it does feel like that's kind of been the story for Glasgow so far in this game. Maybe they can turn it around, though. It's still very early. And, talking about early, we might get a very early first brick coming through. We are going to see the Herald drop down. It will force away the bot lane and the jungler. And once again, Roehampton just finding the plays, now up 3k gold.
This is something we did talk about, is that Des could pivot to the bot lane, drop the Herald, get some plating, but Hecarim is back for another gank.
Okay, Hecarim maybe was trying to donate that, didn't go for the charge. They will pick up the Jinx, though. It's going to be a 1-0 so far, but here comes the Zoe. Ooh, the chains ever so slightly just short. Not going to be able to lock down the Hecarim, as Akali having to play a little bit safe there. And I will say Ezreal playing very much with fire, very low HP. Not gonna go back just yet.
That just feels like a little bit of an overextension from Roehampton. You knew Hecarim was there. You just saw him in bot lane use his ult. He's just going to go back into his Krugs. You're pushing up with no health, no mana. It just feels like a little bit too much. Get the crash on the plates, cash that in, go and reset. You don't need to pressure for more.
Yeah, you don't need to always push it to the limit, but Roehampton, it is kind of their branding. You know, they, as I said, they love a fast and furious game. We'll see if they can maybe just chill out a little bit, or maybe they're just going to go even further and just get those kills. But right now, looking for that mid tower. They're going to get a little bit of damage on it. I'm not really sure why Jojo is kind of just chilling around here. I guess Drake is coming up pretty soon, but yeah, it seems a little bit early.
Yeah, slightly early, but it is always good to get the setup going first. If you draw attention down here, then you get to leave the Jinx in the top lane to get some more money and get some vision. Likewise, in that side river, which Dragon now spawning in. Probably, okay, and it's not a minute just yet. Still some time left on that one. But, you know, you want to be stacking them. You already got one right now. You're getting more money into the Jinx by doing this. So it's not a bad trade. In fact, it's not really a trade.
It's just all Roehampton. That is, yeah, I worry for you shopping if you think that's a trade. But they're going to be able to get a bit of damage onto the Wukong. They are going to give over that Drake, as you said. But, yeah, more gold. Well, they said more money, more problems. But to be honest, Roehampton, they're doing pretty well.
Yep, they will let that one go. Not too bad, but I just see the Cloud Winds quicken on my screen, and that's not something you do want to see as Roehampton. But at the end of the day, it means that no team really cares too much about the Soul, so I'll be playing for other things, maybe playing for looking at Barons. Second Rift Herald could actually be a very big deal this game, as Roehampton have already pushed down a lot of turrets. Potentially opening up mid might allow them to make more plays on the map.
Yeah, maybe Ro thought we were the forecast Janna skin, and we predicted the Cloud Soul, which has come through, and therefore giving up that Drake even more meaningless, as we did get a bit of a weird pause there, but either way, we're back in game.
Yeah, I don't know what's on with Spectator Client. I mean, it's probably just more spaghetti code, as I say, but it just decided to freeze there for a moment. I don't think there was a pause.
Yeah, no, I don't think there was a pause either. I think it just kind of lagged a bit, but who knows, you know, small indie company, eh? Like,
absolutely.
What can you do about it? As, to be fair, a bit of a lull phase. So if there was going to be a pause, that was probably one of the best times for it to be. But right now, Roehampton are sitting 4.5k gold in the lead, which, to be honest, in 13 minutes is quite a big advantage.
Yeah, it's a big advantage, but I would actually like to see Roehampton use their resources a little bit further. You have Mythics on most of the champions. Of course, Viego has gone for the Bork first time here, which is absolutely fine. Jojo does need to back and buy some items, though. He's probably sitting on a lot of gold with what he currently has up, but this Jinx is actually really strong right now. She's cashed in a lot of plating. Mid still got 2 plates left. Obviously, the plating is going to drop right now. But if you open up that mid lane, it matters so much this game. Because then the jungle is not safe for Glasgow.
Yeah, jungle definitely going to be a bit of a contentious area, as we are going to see Akali put to sleep. There is the paddle star. It's not going to deal enough damage just yet, but Brom is taking some heat. There's the knock-up from the Malphite. Will they be able to get the kill? They do get one onto Hecarim, but it's going to be traded for Jojo, as in goes Viego. Now with the Heartbreaker, going to be able to crush up another kill, but then with the Shuriken, just flips away from the rest of the team fight. He's going to be able to get over the wall, though, safely, and will be able to join his team, who are just pressuring onto this tier 2.
Yeah, it's a 1 for 2 in the end. You get the first tier 1 and you get a lot of damage on the tier 2, but that paddle star.
Oh, good block right there. That was some high-level plays from Brom, keeping his ADC alive.
Yep, but what's happened is, well, you just lost 2 towers. And where did you lose them? You lost them in the mid lane. Not just the tier 1 that I was talking about, but you lose the tier 2 too. This jungle is not safe at all, and as we can see...
Savagery just popping off. Kolsch got put to sleep. He might just about survive, though, as he does pick up the kill onto the Jinx. NBA Hookboy now on the run. Will be able to lock down Hecarim. And gets a little bit of poke on as well. But this Zoe, we talked about it already, only has 1 kill in the game, but is causing major problems. I imagine it's going to be banned every other game since.
I mean, you just can't let Savagery have this champion. We just saw these bubbles aren't missing. They're constantly providing pressure points that you can use against Glasgow right now. You see this entire mid lane siege. It's like, well, I land a bubble on you. You don't have to back off. We get to take the tower and we do it again.
It's rinse, repeat, you know, and in the shower, that's how you make bubbles. A bit of soap, rinse, repeat, and there you go. And he's just able to keep doing this over and over again. And to be fair, looking at the composition, they're very squishy as well. So there isn't really going to be much that you can do against it. Yes, Brom can maybe stand in front of a couple of those, but at some point, they are going to start hurting.
Yeah, it's definitely a strong man, but I'm not sure how much he can take this game. We'll definitely see. It's only 15 minutes, and we have this sort of lead. It's not quite... I mean, we have seen higher leads sometimes, but this is dominance right now from Roehampton. We expect this Herald to probably go down. You have no way of getting into this jungle. You have no turrets here. You have no vision. I don't even know why Hecarim's walking up.
Well, maybe he thought he had cams, but he's going to find a paddle star to the back, and there's the knock-up Malphite. Jojo doesn't miss those, and it's just way too much damage. You talked about it earlier. The jungle is not a place for you to be if you're Glasgow, as we're going to see this tower dive now. Another paddle star over the wall, but they are looking aggressive here. Kolsch stepping forward, and so is Akali looking for Hookboy. Will get one back, and maybe Roehampton just going a little bit too far forwards.
I mean, if I was Glasgow, I'd be pinging both the Akali and the Hecarim there. Akali doing a lot of damage, able to just pick up that kill. But that was just very bad awareness from Hecarim. You have no vision here, and you're face-checking into a team where you probably know that you have 5 people because the Rift Herald spawned. So a bit of a macro mistake there from Glasgow.
Yeah, it's a tough one, you know, because you do have to check the jungle to see if your camps are up, but obviously knowing that people are on top side, most likely they're all gone. Plus, the risk versus reward, if you die, what else are you going to lose? Obviously, now they have tempo around that Drake. They can start setting up for that. And once again, Hecarim going to find himself behind.
Yeah, certainly. Gold lead definitely amounting to something right now. You have more pressure tools with the Rift Herald. Drake is spawning, but it doesn't really matter too much which team does get it here. But at the end of the day, it is nice to deny the objective bounty that has currently spawned.
Jojo not really caring about it, you know, he's just quite happy pushing on this bot, so it doesn't really need to help out the team as we aren't seeing a big contention from Glasgow. But here comes Sav there, paddle start over the wall. You have to be very cautious if you are the Akali. He's going to put the Brom to sleep, And is that going to be a puddle start? He will be able to jump away. And it's not going to be any damage just yet. But another tower going down, tier 2 in the bot lane as well.
But we see Savagery constantly setting up these plays as he lands another one.
Another one indeed. Cool DJ Khaled, because that's another kill too. It's a big problem that they are not finding any way to deal with. Hecarim just running forwards into a stun. I don't really know if that was the play, as the rocket is going to go ever so slightly wide. But here comes the second Rift Herald onto the tier 3. That's gone, and they're looking for the inhib.
Roehamption about to say we the best right now as they're pushing into the inhib. Still has the Rift Herald charge off. Might even be able to end the game here if Glasgow aren't careful.
Ooh, that is a lot of damage on to the Nexus Tower. Not going to be able to follow it up with any more just yet. Glasgow will hold strong for a little bit longer, although they are now going aggressive, which I don't know if it's too advised. The Hecarim going to go down immediately and into the backline. They are going to lift them up, but not in a good way. Kali trying to stay alive. Wukong doing his best, but his best was not good enough. Another fight going Roehampton's way, and we talked about 26 minutes. This might be pre-20.
I might have just signed Glasgow a death warrant with that. They were not careful enough, and they decided to just engage on it. Flip the game. Why don't you do it? And I think they might be able to get sub 20.
It's, yeah, it is looking that way. Nexus Tower number 2 is going to fall down. Nexus the only thing standing. They are starting to spawn up, though. Can Glasgow make the last defense that they need? They do a lot of damage to Jinx, and they will pick up one that maybe holds them in this game for a little bit longer. Sav's going to fall as well. That's 2 shutdowns. Sounded like Skepta on the mic, but we are going to see a quick pause there. It's Jojo trying to run away. He is going to get stunned up at some point. They finally do manage to give that. And who will they give it over to? Well, it's going to be
Ezreal. All right. So the sub 20 was there. You wanted it. You didn't quite get it. The respawn was a little bit too small, and you don't have quite enough damage yet. But to be honest, you know, if I was Roehampton, I would have went for it. You're ahead enough. You're far ahead enough. There is literally no. There are literally no turrets on this side of the map. There is one turret. There are 2 turrets left, so to speak, I think, and they're both on the top side. You basically have an open base at this point. Oh no, there is still one in mid, but you have no Nexus turrets.
Yeah, three towers, 2 inhibs. You know, that's all that they have to really talk about. And we're 20 minutes into the game. Like,
yeah, this is ridiculous.
This is not normal gameplay. So don't try and replicate this at home. And it's not a good time. You know, it's not a good time if you're Glasgow. Baron has just spawned, which is normally said when there are many more towers on the map. But we'll see if Roehampton go for an early Baron.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I don't even think it's that bad to just burger flip it. You have a 5-free Jinx. She has a lot of money. I honestly think you could just do it because it's not really a flip when you up this much in gold.
And if you win the fight, regardless of whether you get the Baron,
yeah, I mean, just win the game.
It's GG. Yeah. So I feel like I do agree with you. I think that there's just really no reason for them not to go for this, and they can even just set up the vision as well. So they have started to set themselves up. They are very much ready for Glasgow to enter into that jungle. We are going to get a pause, but I don't believe it's actually a pause. I think it's it's just a bug.
I swear, if Spectator baits me. Well,
oh, I thought Baron would go. I thought they'd taken Baron in like the 2 seconds of your pause, and that would have been crazy.
Yep. I mean, I don't know why this is happening yet again. Right, need to start fixing the Spectator client. They added the new UI, which is really nice, but it is now going down, and we'll see if Glasgow can respond to it. But it is going down extremely fast.
Indeed. Normally, Barons this early take a little bit of time. This one is immediately removed from the game. It's now Kolsch stepping forward, goes with the Cyclone. Does get a lot of members in that knock-up, though, as they are trying to turn this one around, but it's not going to be enough. There is the return from Roehampton. They have the damage. Akali in the backline does pick up the Jinx, but it's going to fall as well. Ezreal pinging off shots, but it's not going to be enough. Midnight is going to go down, and it's sleepy time for Ezreal, waking up in base. Not where you want to end up. And they are now just going to be able to run this straight down. But to be honest, Winions.
Yeah, I mean, it's just over. I mean, they surrendered in the end, but it's a bit of a rise and grind for Roehampton. You just have too much money in your pocket, and you're going to slap them with your wallets and win the game through that.
And, well, we talked about 26 minutes. How about 21? You know, they've just doubled down. They said, yeah, we like fast gameplay. We pick a late game team. We're going to win this one early and be ready to just go for the second game. So, Roehampton, strong start to week 2.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it just ended up seeing that, well, you know what? screw top lane, screw mid. In fact, we're just going to move mid down to bot and use that to leverage it because clearly this Hecarim isn't actually putting enough pressure out. And it does feel really bad for Hecarim this game, I have to say. You have so much map pressure that is just gained by the fact that Savagery is just able to roam on Zoe because you don't have any mid lane priority because you have an Akali there.
Yeah, and the bot lane getting those early kills, Jinx getting ahead. It's just kind of, what do?
Yeah.
You know, like, it's just one of those moments of, well, we're not going to win this game. You know, we basically are just going to hope to flip the game. And obviously we saw that a few times, but it never went in the way of Glasgow. So Roehampton, just once again, putting the pedal to the metal, able to speed the game up. And well, to be honest, if you end the game in 21 minutes, it's like, did you even really play the game?
I mean, I think the life lesson here is one shall not give Zoe to Savagery. Especially if you decide to put a champion like Akali in the mid lane, because there is no way that you can get push priority.
What is the answer to Zoe? I don't really know what the answer to Zoe is, because to be honest, I've seen Sav play this a handful of times, right? It gets banned a lot. But I don't think I've seen anyone play anything that beat the Zoe. Maybe in the finals there was, but
I mean, it was banned.
It's,
So...
yeah, I don't know. What do you pick into Zoe?
I think the best thing to do, I mean, at least in the case of Savagery, Zoe does like to set up map plays. She likes to have priority and make roams because a Sleepy Trouble Bowl through a wall extends the range. It's very, very hard to dodge if you don't see it coming. Especially if you have jungler to set up for it. Land some CC, then you guarantee a bubble, you guarantee a lot of damage and likely kill. Something that is good is if you can keep perma-pushing the lane, you can pick something like a Malzahar maybe, just keep shoving, and then Zoe has to clear. If you can out-wave clear the Zoe and match roams, then she can't do as much. Especially with the fact that if you're playing something like a Malzahar, you have Never Grasp. So any champion that is just going to constantly shove out mid, you could even play Cho. Cho mid would work really well in this situation. Anything that has wave clear, I mean, Victor, if you get some stacks on that, you get your E augment, you can shove it a little bit, but then you struggle a little bit more early games, so Zoe still has that window, but at least for me, prevent roams, prevent lane, or even a lane bully. You can pick lane bullies in mid, and that would probably also work, because Zoe's early game is alright, but it's not stellar.
Could you maybe see a Corki go into that one? Obviously quite popular at the moment.
I think the problem with Corki is that, yes, you have package to meet roams, and I think Corki is extremely strong right now with the amount of damage she does, but you don't necessarily stop the Zoe from doing what she does, you just need to do more on your end. So if you do pick the Corki here, I feel like, well, you don't have to match the roams, but you can make a roam somewhere else instead. Or just use the fact that Zoe's not in lane to get more money and go for plating.
Fair and well. We'll let you guys ponder that one as we are going to go to a break. What do you pick into Savagery Zoe, or is it just a question to always ban it? But we'll catch you very shortly with Game 2. Welcome back to the stream. Game number 2 ready to go. It's going to be Sheffield taking on Roe once again. And we have already had the pick and bans, but we weren't able to get the link. So we are going to go through it in client.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. And we have... I don't know if these are arbitrary bans or not. Or if they actually matter, but at the end of the day, Gwen, Pike, and Shaco will not be in this game.
Yeah, and to be fair, I'm not that sad about it. We had a little glance at the OPGGs. A lot of Shaco being played, and also a lot of Nunu. So those both being removed off the board, definitely going to make Dead God's time a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, it's certainly possible that they are just doing the draft here in the actual thing, unless it is just recreating bans. But sometimes you just end up seeing, oh, well, I'm just going to ban all the champions, alphabetically starting with A. But I mean, I guess we just have to wait a little bit for the picks to come out, but it just looks like banning out pocket picks, really. But there is Zoe open, as I say that, because they banned Vex instead. So now I'm very confused.
Yeah, it's, well, maybe they were a little bit busy in the last game to watch this one, but I feel like
just
you
look at
should
match
know.
history.
Yeah, like, you should know that this is an OTP, and, well, if you've ever watched this team play, the Zoe is strong. So we talked about it. We let you guys have a break and think about what you'd pick into Savagery Zoe, and well, we might see if Sheffield have the answer.
As we get an Amumu, unless they're remaking draft, I don't want to do it. It could be a proxy, but for the time being, I'm going to assume that's an Amumu jungle, which I don't know what to say.
It's good in low elo solo queue. I think that's what I can say about it. Like, if you're in bronze, it's really good. I don't know if it's that good above that, but well, who knows? Man plays Shaco and Nunu. Maybe Amumu is his secret pick. But we're gonna get Jinx once again, and to be fair, this could be the 5th game in a row that they get another win on Jinx. It's the 5th time picked, so the odds are with them.
Certainly, as I mean, it's just a really, really strong blind pick. There's a reason why people are first rotating this champion, because you sit there, you scale. If you get accelerated, you do a lot of damage, and you're relatively decent laning phase with range from Fishbones. And we get an Evelyn, which is a little bit unusual, but a very big AP threat.
Yeah, I am surprised. We are getting a message. Maybe that's going to be a proxy of the Evelyn, but. Okay, a Mumu is Graves. Okay, that makes sense. I was going to say maybe a Mumu is going to be a support pick, but either way, we now understand it's going to be the Graves. But that Evelyn stands. So so far, it's going to be the Evelyn, which, to be fair, Des has played before, but quite early to pick that one in the draft, I feel.
Yeah, normally with Eve, you do want to wait a little bit to see, oh, what targets do you have available? What can you assassinate? But at the end of the day, Eve is still a very fast clearer. You will go around, clear your jungle, wait till you get 6, and then look to just murder somebody. And that can work really well. You could set up a lot of pressure with that. But, I mean, Jinx Eve, at the moment, you're just kind of looking to farm. But we have Alistair Lulu. If that Lulu does get locked in, it will go into the solo lane. If that isn't a proxy.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
right.
All right. I was gonna say if they're doing some weird TP smite like that, I'm not for that. You know, we're moving from that. I feel like that's kind of been moved away from. Like people are not taking smite top no more. But yeah, Alistair is going to be the Kaisar. So keeping track of this is going to be pretty interesting. I'm pretty sure that's probably a proxy as well. That's probably the Zoe, because I imagine that Renata is banned this week.
That is savagery picking. So if it was a Zoe, I don't think it would be the Zoe. I mean, it might be enabled. I don't know how, whether it is. Normally, when these new champions come out, they are not enabled, and they give them some time. But I suppose it has been a week, so if a week is long enough, then Renata is on the Rift. 2 weeks. Okay, well, yeah, I just don't have any sense of time.
No, I thought she came out yesterday, so it's all good. No, I'm just joking. But admittedly, it did feel like very recently, so I'm with you on that one. I am surprised to see it here. And, well, apparently we're getting Renata for the first time on the stream. And I should probably Google the ability names. But it's okay, we can do that in a little bit. As we're still going well into the draft. To be fair, I'm not really sure what's going to pair well with it. I played against one Renata in my whole time of League of Legends so far. To be honest, it didn't actually seem that good.
Okay, so as far as win rate goes, it's not amazing. Win rate suggests that she's not too strong right now. I think the main problem is her ult is very, very slow. It takes up a wide area, but it's very slow and quite unreliable. Relies on other people like grouping together and having ult attacks to just kill each other. One thing I will say though is that Bailout is an insanely strong ability with its attack speed steroid. You use it on certain champions like an Aurelia in a fight, and you have created a monster.
Yeah, it's definitely pretty strong. You talk about attack speed, Jinx, we heard it from production as well, so shout out to them. And we're going to go into round 2. Obviously, a tank still could be nice. Mainly the engage is what we'd be looking for. The Graves, also I like that they haven't picked up a jungler here, because they could flex that into the top side. It is pretty good hole breaker right now doing bits as well. So we'll have to see if that one is locked in, as slowly taking their time to pick this one up. And
there's no way.
No.
I mean, it's Proxy City. I mean, the only so one little thing. I think Nasus is really good in bot with a fasting center, but it's only into certain AD matchups, and it's a giga scaling bot lane. So you're basically saying, okay, we're just gonna sit here and farm. But it is genuinely good with fasting center if you want to try it. The only problem is you are denying a lot of prio in the bot side. But that is gonna be a proxy. We're gonna see what it is. It's an Ornn.
Okay.
I don't see Jojo.
Ornn is much more suitable. I think that Ornn makes a lot of sense. I think Ornn is something that Jojo plays as well, so I like that pickup too. Aurelion Soul, I'm guessing that's probably a proxy as well. Not many people play Aurelion Soul. If it's not, then I'm very happy about this, because this is a cool lock-in.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna doubt it. Aurelion Sol has one of the lowest play rates in the entire game after they reworked him, and most of the mains of Aurelion Sol really want him to get reverted, but that's a discussion best left for another time. What Aurelion Sol does do, I mean, he has the roam, he has the big Q, so you can get off some nice stuns if you want to do it, but I'm just gonna sit here and wait and see what it likely actually is. The Urgot is more understandable. Urgot into Ornn matchup, Urgot is favoured, but of course it is Ornn. So Ornn being the mage, bruiser, tank, assassin, ADC will always be able to get kills occasionally.
You know, and I'm glad that the draft is over, because I'm not gonna lie, it was so hard to look at that. Like when you're like in your mind, you're having to kind of put that 400 IQ on and be like, okay, that's actually this champ, that's this champ. They locked in Kalista at the end. To be honest, we know it's not Kalista, but I'm excited to finally see what it's actually going to be now on the Rift. And as you said, they're now going through it, banning. What was that?
Aurelion Sol is in play.
Aurelion Sol is in play. Well, make sure they don't ban that. They're banning a lot of A champs at the moment, so be careful about that one.
Yeah, otherwise we get another draft remade. But okay, so Aurelion Sol depends on what the mid matchup is. I don't remember if that was confirmed on Roehampton. I don't, because I'm assuming it was the Kalista pick that would have informed it. Yeah, I'm not sure. We'll see in a moment when Savagery does pick the champion. And unless Lollipop, I mean, I can't remember the exact name, Roz, so I think Lulu is the
Lollipop,
support.
I think, is the support.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that 6-6 Turkey is top lane. Dead God is jungle. Not sure about the other two. I'd have to recheck the OPGG, but I'm sure they'll line up for us pretty nicely soon, as we are going to see that on that evening confirmed. Graves going to be locked in as well. So drafts are looking a little bit normal this time round. Obviously, no proxies. Well, hopefully they shouldn't be bringing a proxy here, because you're remaking the draft again. But the Urgot finally confirmed as well. Urgot into Ornn.
Oh, so it's an action.
Yeah.
Okay, so that makes a lot of sense. You have AP jungle, you don't necessarily want to pair that with another AP in the mid. Akshan is a really strong blind, but it wasn't picked blind, so I mean, I guess it's fine that way. Akshan's just really frustrating because he just has a lot of things in his kit that you just don't like to play against. He has resets, he has the little mobility thing where he does the swing, and he actually just does a lot of damage, but it just seems really hard to utilize when you have an Eve and you have a Jinx. I'm not entirely sure what Roehampton's gunning for with this.
Yeah, they've definitely said we're winning a lot. Let's do something different. And I don't know if I agree with that mentality.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like you're winning a lot. Just keep winning. You know, I don't really get. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. You know, maybe I'm just boring. But like, if you're winning, just keep doing that. But I will say, Roehampton, they've gone for a new take on quite an annoying style of comp, which is revives. And they brought Renata and Action. So they've now brought 2 new members. Riot, stop making revive champions, please. To this new revive meta. You know, no Zillion here, but
yeah, I mean, we could have had Akshan top, Zillion mid, and we have the full crew. You know, it would have been great.
Yeah, maybe some Karthus in there as well.
Yeah,
you know?
somehow bring Aatrox passive back from the grave and give him back the revive. I mean, there you go. You're a full team.
Yeah, it's to be fair, I actually am sad that Aatrox lost that. I feel like it made a lot of sense.
So here's a fun fact. After I moved away from being fresh, I played a lot of old Aatrox before he got reworked.
Same.
And I stopped playing him after he got reworked, basically.
Same.
So,
that was literally me. Yeah.
Yep, it was very fun to just hit stuff and then get rezzed and then do the same thing again. But
Yeah.
I do kind of understand why they removed it. It's just a little bit sad for those Aatrox and Joys out there.
Yeah, but if you want revives, Renata has one, and so does Action, but for the team, not for yourself. And I'm interested to see how that one plays into this one, because obviously their comp is quite squishy. They have the Ornn, but then everyone else is just 2000 HP max. Urgot, kind of scary, you know, and so is Graves. So it's a little bit of a weird one. I will say, obviously, the Aurelion Sol Kai'Sa, not so meta at the moment, may suffer because of that. Obviously, Jinx into Kai'Sa doesn't sound like the best time.
One thing I will say is that we have a very short range comp here. Kai'Sa, Asol, Urgot. I mean, you don't have any range at all. You kind of need to be in the face of the opponent. And Roehampton don't really like them being in the face, but the problem is Renata has so much value into that with that ultimate. It's a really slow projectile, but if they want to be approaching you, then it's still going to hit them. And because you have Urgot, because you have Graves, because you have Kai'Sa, that's actually going to do a lot of damage.
Yeah, and also the setup, Ornn Horn. You know, you talked about it slow, you can dodge, but you've already got that one carpet going down, boom, big knock up. There you go, now you're all attacking each other. And, well, we've all played against Evelyn, we've all played against Action. It doesn't take many autos or much damage to really kill you from that. So I feel like it is going to be a pretty interesting team fight comp that Roehampton has built. And also, as much as I did say, just keep winning, play what you want to play. I do kind of like that they're picking up some new stuff. Because right now, they definitely can try out that new stuff. They can see new things that work. And then when they take on teams that are of the top, or if they get to playoffs, then it's like, okay, we have this in the back. We played this in week 2. We're ready and prepared.
Yeah, absolutely. So something that Roehampton's composition can do is they can look for picks. You have Eve, you have Action, 2 users of stealth. Ornn is a setup. Renata is potential setup with her Q. And, I mean, Jinx is just kind of there. I mean, if Jinx gets a pick in a team fight, then she can do a lot. But I think what Roehampton really want to look to do is try and get a pick before a team fight. Use the fact that you have 2 stealth champs that can just kill somebody to get a kill, and then go from there. Because if you're playing numbers down, then Roehampton's comp does pretty well. You have a lot of damage.
Yeah, and also one thing I'm really excited to look at is Bailout. Obviously, an important skill in this game. We saw Roehampton do dives in the early game, you know? This seems like the perfect dive skill. So I'm excited for them to try and use that, really get the lead because of those things. And I'm expecting a lot of bot lane pressure coming out of this.
Yeah, definitely. You have Jinx Renata, relatively strong. I mean, something that you can use is Renata's passive, adding that extra little bit of damage when you get the 2 autos off. That actually adds quite a lot in lane. So, again, same kind of formula as last time. Push the lane in, get Akshan to roam down. Akshan is very good at doing this because of his W and because of his E. So it's, again, I mean, I'm expecting 4-man turret dives. You have 2 stealth champions. It's easier to do here. It's also not necessarily something you expect if you're not keeping your eye on the vision.
And we do have to look at the 4-man dives from the other side as well. Because obviously Aurelion Sol notoriously good at roaming, right? Like that's kind of his whole thing. If you play Sol and you don't roam, then... well, I don't know. You're not really playing this. Yeah, you're missing half your kit. So it does feel like that's kind of going to be the play. Obviously, Action, as you said, pretty good at roaming around as well. So I'm imagining that mid lane is almost that lane of just like, we're here to farm and farm only, but we're going to never be in this lane.
Yeah, I think both mid lanes are just going to take the handshake and say, you know what? I'm going to push the wave in. I'm going to go somewhere. I'm going to push the wave in as well. I'm going to go somewhere. We're just going to keep rotating that and then see who gets the better value out of the roams as we go into pause.
Yeah, and, well, what a way to begin the game, eh? Straight into the pause. No action off the rip. But I guess it gives us a little bit more time to talk about the game. And we should probably talk about scaling at some point. Obviously, Roehampton, well, they don't really care about scaling too much because they seem to win before 30 minutes. But if we are to go post 30 minutes, does Roehampton have that advantage where they can just kind of sit back on that because they do have the Jinx, they do have the Action? Or is it that actually the other side, because they're a little bit tankier, they will also scale as well, they maybe have the edge?
I think fundamentally, yes, you have a Jinx, and Action has pretty decent scaling as well. But the important thing for Roehampton is you have the Ornn. Ornn giving you those masterwork items later on gives you a lot of extra statistics, and stylistically, you generally have a better time into their composition. But if the enemy team has dragon control and they're in your face and you don't have those tools, then it's not very fun for you because this Urgot kind of just runs people down if you don't have that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely is going to run you down. Obviously, can drag you back as well due to obviously the fear from beyond death. And I will say, I'm interested in this Graves, you know, like I think Graves in general has just been quite strong for a very long time. I can't really remember when Graves wasn't strong in the jungle, and obviously has now become a bit more proficient in top lane as well. So even though short range, I do think it can still dish out a lot of damage, and I think if they can get themselves in a good position where they can get close enough to the Jinx, close enough to the Action, there is that moment where like they can start to carry this game. So I'm interested to see how this one plays out. I think Sheffield are going to have a little bit of difficulty, though. I think the range advantage is really going to play a huge factor. The fact that Jinx is going to be able to rocket you about 3 times before you even get into range to auto them is definitely going to be a little bit of a problem. And also, the Renata Ornn. I'm very excited for this combination.
I mean, I've not seen it in action in my own games because Renata is generally banned because, as a new champ might as well ban it, even though she's not that strong right now as far as statistics suggest. But yet that has a lot of combo potential, and I also think there's potentially a lot of combo potential on the other side with the Graves ultimate, with the ASOL ultimate, and a big old ASOL stun. So both teams have these sorts of explosive team fights potentially, so definitely be watching out for that. Could get a lot of chaotic fights.
Yeah, the voice of light. We'll see if it can do what it needs to. Obviously, Azo I feel like is a little bit better when people are trying to dive on you. Obviously, because of that, you get to push them away and keep them at distance. Whereas this time, it feels like it's more going to be used for that slow and just maybe that extra bit of damage from the range. But the pause is still going on. Apparently, someone stubbed their toe. That's what I've heard. Which I don't know if it's a legitimate reason as to why you'd pause the game in League. But
I mean, if your toe's in excruciating pain, you're not really be able to focus on the game. You kind of just want your brain like, my toe really hurts.
Yep, and we're not going to read any of those other messages because that's a little bit troll. But it's a sentiment where hopefully we get into game shortly. I don't know if NSC has the same rules of like you get 15 minutes and then you just play regardless of whether they're back or not.
Yeah, that depends on the ruling. I mean, it has only been 4 minutes worth of pause so far, and I don't really think it will go that far. But yeah, never really fun. I mean, life happens. Stuff can happen in the middle of a game. I mean, I've had it before. I've subbed in before, and had to pause because for some reason my League client decided to kill itself. Yep. So yes, when your League client crashes in the start of a game, sometimes you need to pause.
Yep.
As we unpause and we get another one.
Yeah, so don't get too excited, guys, in chat. You know, we still got another pause going. Yeah, sometimes you put food in the oven and you need to take it out. You know, like you need to just have that moment to grab that fish or that chicken, wherever you're cooking. Maybe you're vegan. You know, maybe you're going for the halloumi. Well, actually, no, that's not vegan at all. What was I saying?
Mushroom burger. There we go.
There we go. So you can tell that I'm not a vegan. So there you go. A new fact about J-Real. But into this game, or soon to be into this game.
Fingers crossed.
Do you think there's maybe some potential for some early game shenanigans?
Absolutely. I mean, Graves is a really good dueler, especially if you're going, I mean, either build actually. I mean, lifesteal with the shield bow, or you just kill people with Eclipse. I mean, just killing them works really well. Obviously, the quick draw gives you armor as well. Not quite so good into the Eve here because of the AP difference, but yep, Graves can do a lot of things around the map in terms of that if you get into some fights in random places. But I don't think that should end up happening because Eve wants to clear, Akshan wants to roam, but realistically probably won't want to roam until Deskro is in a position to be able to do so. So I expect the early game to be really restrained.
Yeah, and one thing that I'm a little bit worried about for the Eve is obviously Eve notoriously not the greatest in the early levels, does need to get to that level 6. Graves, however, is an absolute monster. So there's the potential for Degod to look for those invades onto Dez, and we'll have to see if Savagery can kind of rotate to that, because obviously we've talked about how good Aurelion Soul is at moving, we've talked about how they have push pressure, and also they are just pretty strong level 3. So I think it is going to be a bit of a rough time if Dez is getting invaded, so I am interested to see how the side of Ro play around that. And I think the bot side of the map definitely feels a little bit safer than the top side.
Yeah, I mean, bot 2v2 should be quite interesting, actually. Both teams can do a lot of damage if you land something on them, but of course the main thing is Renata getting a Q off, getting the pullback, and that can result into Flame Chompers landing and a lot of damage. Likewise, if you get hit by a Icer? No, it's a Kaiser Q. Isolated Acathian Rain will also melt your health bar off, so very much have to keep your step in check there, or else you might take a bit of pain.
Yeah, nobody wants that. And immediately, okay, I have no idea. Well, apparently I just can't drink water properly. Sorry about the pause. You guys can't see that at home, but maybe you'll understand later. Right now, that just felt, that was super strange. But anyway, moving back to this game, we are going to get the pause after the pause after the pause.
And then the bug where it just does the thing and you think it's another pause, but it's not pause.
So hopefully we are now in the game. No pauses. We should be ready to go. And no shenanigans off the start. You know, they're starting it slow. They're keeping themselves just safe in their own jungle. You know, they said, you know what, it's been a long time. We're just going to relax. We're going to get into this one slowly, warm up. You know, you don't just jump on the treadmill and go 11. You've got to start at that 4, maybe up to the 7. And we'll see just that from the teams. But early game, what are you expecting? Where are you expecting the junglers to be pathing?
Well, it's an Eve, as I've said. I think we're going to get some LCK-style handshakes over here, and we're just going to get full clears. Graves is also very decent at full clearing himself. Can look for a little bit more than Eve early on, maybe trying to rotate towards whatever side they're not. So I see Graves likely starting bot side, maybe trying to do something onto an Ornn, but Ornn has enough strength in the early game to probably resist that. So I'm kind of just expecting Dead God and Deathgrow to just full clear back and then see what happens afterwards.
Indeed. I like that, to be fair. Like, I think, although I said Gray's really strong in the early game, obviously can just full clear, can just keep stacking up and getting items. Really strong at that 1-2 item power spike. And the same true for Eve. Obviously, we want that level 6, so we are going to get another pause. But this time it is just a bug. It's not actually a pause in the game. So no worries at home. We are live and ready to go. And if we can just get a little bit of a zoom out there on the map. And now we get to see all of the action from across the rift. And I don't know if you've ever done this, but you can zoom out really far.
Yeah, definitely. Like, Spectator has some fun stuff. I mean, we get this, we can see pretty much half of the rift. I mean, the entire section in the middle between the two rivers. Yeah, Spectator's pretty fun, but also pretty annoying at the same time. It's kind of like, I don't know. Spectator comes with its rewards, and also comes with stuff like this where the game is just frozen.
Yeah, and yeah, right, please. You know, they're dropping new skins, they're giving us new champions. We just want the client to work, you know. And we are experiencing a bit of a pause. Hopefully we'll be able to move past this very shortly as we try and work out a couple of those technicalities. But I believe we are now back into the game live. We are going to see action there, putting a bit of poke. And Savagery has played this champion a little bit, you know. When I first came to Ro, I feel like Zoe, Action, Pantheon were kind of the main three picks they like to play. But it's kind of been similar. I think he's added a lot to the roster as well. He's picked up the Vex. And all in all, he's had pretty good mastery on those champions. And we do have a pause right now at 2:07. We're hoping that that will just go past. And then we'll be into the game as we now have it. So there we go. Spectator Bug has relaxed.
Oh, boy.
And we've been allowed to watch some League of Legends.
Somebody at Riot really eating a lot of Italian food right now because there's spaghetti everywhere. This is a bit of a gank.
Bot lane is going to go pretty low. We are going to see the Kai'Sa go down first, though. That's first blood. And getting excited is the Jinx able to run away from Dead God. And that is just not what you want to see if you are Sheffield.
I'm really surprised that Roehampton managed to make that one out there. I mean, that was a 3 versus 2. Obviously, a little bit late from the blue side, but somehow he just managed to lay down enough damage. Really good target focus onto the Kai'Sa there, nabbing that first blood and getting away with it.
Yeah, good target focus as well. The Ignite was used, but so was the Exhaust and the heal from the Lulu. So a lot of summoners taken up there from the side of Sheffield. And, well, Piltboy showing us once again that he knows how to play a lot of different champions. You know, he's given us Talia, he's given us some Xerath. Now we're going to get Renata, so another one added to his cap.
Oh, yeah, actually, okay, I'm not going to hit that one. That's fine. I mean, you interrupt the back there as the Lulu, but not quite as nice a reset, but it'll still be a really good advantage for the Jinx. Early game, and we'll see if they cap that can balloon. I do expect both Desk and Savagery to do the same thing as last game and roam down once they have some levels in their pocket. But yeah, I mean, Dead God, Deskro, just full clearing. Top laners doing another handshake and just say, let's just farm. That's about it.
Yeah, League of Legends early game. I will say Jojo taking a lot of damage there. There is going to be the dash forward, but 6-6 is going to have to step back, taking that tower shot. Going to do quite a bit of damage over to that Urgot.
Yeah, slightly overzealous there. If that sustain did connect, though, you get the shield and probably the kill onto Jojo, but just slightly shy there. I can see what he was aiming for, but the hitbox isn't as large as Nautilus Hook. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, which... well, I don't know. We've all seen the meme, right? The lane where Nautilus Hook. It does feel like that sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, this Stain has a relatively okay hitbox. I'm not going to talk anything about that. Yep, Urgot gets a shove here. He really does need to push this one in, then he can reset and put some pressure out. Really well-timed W.
Oh, and that's going to be a pretty close trade there. Turkey, no mana. Jojo, though, deciding to back away from that one. Doesn't want any more of that damage, as we are seeing Savagery picking up more pressure in that mid lane. We're going to see in the topside flash having to be used by Turkey as well. So Jojo getting those early leads, which I don't know if I really expected. I know Ornn does a lot of damage, but Urgot definitely feels like he can hang with Ornn.
I mean, this is less to do with a blunder from Turkey side, but just really good recognition from Jojo, timing the brittle there to make sure that you get the unstoppable, you block the disdain, Urgot doesn't get to do it, and then you punish. If he misses that disdain, he's in a position where you can kind of just kill him.
Graves, good dodge out there, doesn't get grabbed, doesn't have the damage though to really force any summoners, and they are just going to be able to walk out quite simply. Hookboy still causing problems, and Dead God trying to get his bot lane onto the map, but just not really finding too much success yet.
Here's the thing, you do have the power to do a lot of damage as Graves, but in situations like that, when the enemy team is not actually shoved in, you don't have an approach skill, you can't do that. I feel like as Dead God there, I understand, but that gank was never going to happen. Just go farm your Krogs, back, reset, and do more farming, because Graves is a really good clear speed.
Yeah, you also got the Lulu, only really a slow. It's a very difficult setup indeed. And also, to be fair, Hookboy has the ability to push you away as well. So I feel like Renata's not even the easiest gank anyway, plus Chompers, plus ratio. So yeah, bot lane probably just not going to be a gank for them anytime soon.
Yeah, I do feel like Graves did very much get ratioed there on that one. Tried to look for something, but did not get it. But he's back again, and this time they are pushing in.
Yeah, at least they're a little bit further up this time. I imagine it's still going to go similar, though. We are going to see the Chompers use pretty early exhaust with the flash there from Jinx. Now a lot of damage is being used, but that is going to be the channel from the bailout. But it won't be bailing Jinx out this time. They will go
Savagery.
down. Here comes Savagery joining this fight. They're going to be able to pick up the Graves. Now dashing forward. Will they get more? It looks unlikely. And they're not going to get the respawn either because it was Kaisa that got the kill.
Akshan stealing some abilities from Renata there as Savagery bails out the bot lane, picking up that kill massive there. And this is what we're talking about. We expect this Akshan to be going and looking for roams, using his W and his E to be able to set these things up. And this is just what we need to see continuously from Savagery, going to these lanes, recognizing, okay, there's a situation here, let's make a play and make use out of this champion. Because really, it's what Akshan wants to do, but of course, Acel does get a lot of money out of this.
Yeah, and while we're getting to a spectate client pause, shout out to you, Pedro. Yeah, Roehampton did win the first game. It was like 21 minutes in, so it was pretty speedy. And yeah, shout out to Pedro. He'll be casting tomorrow for the new games. But back to this one, because the pause has unpaused. And I do wonder why the client is doing this. Like, I don't know, I'm not a coder or a genius like that. But either way, hopefully it gets fixed at some point. As we are going to see Aurelian now in a bit of trouble. He's going to get the stun onto Savagery, but a lot of damage off not many autos.
And that's just the power of Akshan. You get those extra autos off from your passive if you decide not to cancel them, and in combination with the press the attack, vulnerability, free autos, that's a lot of burst damage. It's just the way that Akshan functions. And of course, he's really looking for it.
Oh, and it's so simple. Savagery just swinging in on the vine. Going to be able to pick up that one real simple and just walk straight away out.
Another play going on.
Here's the Ornhorn going to get the knock-up on to the Urgot, and well, we've talked about Urgot being able to turn things around. It's very difficult to do if you're up in the air, and he's going to be immediately removed from the game. And Roehampton finding the picks, finding the momentum that we do expect from them.
It really just seems like 666 Turkey is blundering a little bit in the top side, not really thinking about where the enemy jungle possibly is. Evelyn hits 6, she immediately looks for something. That's what the champion wants to do. Farm till 6, look for an opportunity, and an Urgot pushing in top lane is exactly that opportunity. So a little bit of a lack of awareness. Maybe if you actually was looking at you can tab and see how many camps they've cleared, if you spot them in vision somewhere, and that's a good way of being able to see that. But no, I mean, good play from Jojo and some mistakes from the Urgot.
Yeah, talking about lack of awareness, this action just moving sneaky, invisible there into the lane, able to get a big trade on to Aurelian once again. And yeah, that's the question we asked as well. Renata isn't banned. We were surprised by that too, but apparently not so.
Yeah, Hookboy is parsing it to relatively pretty good success at the moment. I mean, 0-2 score, I won't say much, but it is only 8 minutes in the game. Made some picks though, as there might be a pick for the enemy in the mid lane.
Ooh, but we are going to get an unfortunate pause. Savagery able to swing out of that one, and a lot of damage. To be honest, I feel like he could have maybe just killed Aurelian if he had one more or two autos.
I think the key there is Savagery saying, oh, well, I have 2 kills, I have a bounty, I don't really want to die here. Yes, I can trade, but the trade isn't necessarily worth.
Trading in the bot side as well, going to the side of Rowers. Also in the top side, Rowe just decided unanimously we are going to all fight. And Jojo picking up the lead in that trade as well. So right now, Rowe still looking very much in control. Have built a 2k gold lead early on into this match. And I'm sure they're going to be looking to extend that soon.
Yep, lead client doing its thing again. It is a first Cloud Drake, which I'm very happy about. We don't get to see any boring Cloud Souls this game as we did last time, so actually possibly a win con.
Yeah, we do love anything but Cloud pretty much, especially with these teams as well. No one's going to benefit from Cloud. It's just not a vibe, you know. I feel like it even does the opposite of what Graves or Aurelian would want to do, so maybe Kai'Sa would have liked it, but all in all, I'm very happy that it is not going to be that one, as we are going to see Lollipop in a bit of trouble there, gets pulled back, the damage not there just yet, and here come the team. They're going to find one kill though, as we do see the turnaround from the Renato. Oh, but we don't know what's going to happen yet. They're going to start fighting each other. Hopefully, we get the unpause soon, because right now, things are looking pretty spicy. It is going to be a 3v3 continued soon. Hostile takeover in the midst. They're in the mist. We'll see if we get back into this game.
Yeah, just currently permanently on the shimmer right now. I guess Graves is enjoying it. That's all I can say.
Yeah. It's also very weird sounding also.
Yeah, it's really weird. Obviously, you wouldn't hear it for this long, but like currently in my ears, it's I don't know how to describe it. It's like a constant rumbling with like an occasional like tech sound.
I feel like we're playing what's going to happen next. That's effectively what we're playing right here. Well, we're going to find out, but they are going to come out of the hostile takeover, and there we go. We see the bailout as well, but they're not going to be able to get the kill, so Jinx will finally fall down, but Evelyn going to find one. So far, it's a 2 for 2 though, and the roam from the Aurelian and the Graves does come out a successful one for Sheffield.
Yep, that was relatively good. I think in the end you would take that as Sheffield. You get some more money in your pocket. Yes, it is traded back. Deskro was there to be able to get some extra damage down. But no, I mean, that's kind of the power of Renata against this composition. You want to directly run into them, and Renata just completely benefits from that. There's no reason for you to, well, you just can't dodge it. If you want to go in and make something happen, then this comes out and your entire play gets mitigated slightly. And that's the only reason why Roehampton managed to go even there.
Yeah, and I will say, I didn't really get to see too much of the Orcs. Obviously, the pause mixed in with the unpause. I didn't really see them auto each other too much, so I don't know if we can actually hover over Renata's cooldowns. I'd really like to have a look at like kind of the ultimate what it's saying, especially while we're chilling at the moment. So I don't know if we can shift as well and get the extra details. But yeah, so the duration seems pretty short right now. You know, 1.25 seconds is not that big a deal, to be honest. But later on, 2.25 is pretty substantial.
What you have to remember about the Berserk effect is not only are they effectively CC'd because they're attacking each other, but they will move towards each other to be able to get in range to attack them. So it is a little bit more significant than just a 1.25 second stun. They are doing a little bit of damage to each other and moving and positioning in ways that aren't optimal. So in this case, you basically move the Graves back. He's slowed down towards you. You're stunning him, and you're kind of sort of pushing him back slightly, and what that does there is it delays the play, gives time for Eve to get into position, and that's how they get that extra kill.
Yeah, we are going to be back into the game. Hopefully the client sorts itself out soon, but we will have to find out as yeah, it makes the game a little bit difficult to cast when it keeps pausing. But either way, we're going to go back into the pause that we were in. To be fair, it's a strong start from Ro. You know, yes, we did see the play. Dead God and Katsumi were able to find something in the bot lane, but we need to see more of that. You know, we need to see more of that from the Salty Slugs. They can't just rely on that one play because it's not going to get them over the line. We've seen how good Ro are keeping that lead and snowballing it out, and they still have that 2.6k lead, so they are slowly but surely edging further away.
Yeah, definitely. I think what I would like to see from the Slugs here is just try and make a combined effort to make play somewhere on the map. Try and utilize the fact that you have an Aurelian Soul to better advantages. Right now, they just seem to be matching bot side, and the problem is with your bot side is you have no setup. Lulu and Kai'Sa cannot engage or start a fight for you, and nor can Graves. The only thing you have is an Aurelian Soul Q in that situation, and that's just not reliable. I would rather them see either trying to make plays in the top side, because Urgot actually has Disdain and potentially a big slow on Fear Beyond Death if Ornn has his health down, and that is, despite it being Ornn, it's probably a little bit easier to set up than trying to go for bot plays.
Yeah, indeed, I do agree with you there. It's a tough one, you know. I feel like drafting low CC, sometimes it can feel pretty good, because if you are being engaged on, okay, you have the damage to kind of turn that around, but not being able to dictate your fights does just feel bad at a certain point. And hopefully we get back into the game. I'm sure that it's still going on.
Yeah.
Because I can't imagine this is going to be a problem for the players, but I don't know if we're going to be able to get back in. Maybe we're just trying to backspace or something a bit. I don't really know. I don't really know. This one is a little bit more funky than the one that I like, which is the starting one. And we'll give it a bit of time, though. We will give it a little bit of time. As I will say, I really like these new icons that they added onto the board. You know,
yeah, it was a really good extra thing.
Rift Herald added in. That's a little bit funky. In terms of design-wise, I also like that they've kept it quite simple. In terms of they've not tried to overcrowd it. They've kept it simple, especially with the Drakes. You know, it kind of reminds me a bit of Avatar.
each and every nation represented in these little Drake symbols. But yeah, no, it's actually something, if you've ever went on any statistics sites, they will have these sorts of things available to you. They'll say Rift Heralds and Barons in each case up on this top screen. But of course now it's available on Spectator as well, which is great, because when Get Matches finish and they get uploaded, these statistics are available, but they were kind of just hidden on Spectator, which is, it's just nice to have it available for people using Spectator to have that information at access.
Yeah, and it's also a thing where having it viable, having it easy to see is always nice. I remember there was like a long time with the Spectate where they just had nothing except for gold, which was quite annoying because you'd have to like count the towers and be like, wait, how many towers have been taken here? What's kind of the gold diff? But they've fixed it up. They've redone the layout now, and admittedly, you guys at home can't actually see what we're seeing. You can't see the dragon, and you can't see the Rift Herald because it is covered up by the names. But maybe when you're at home, you know, load up the Spectate, have a little gander, see what's there, play around with the buttons. You know, maybe you might even find that you like being a producer. But yeah, back to this game. It seems like we've kind of hit a stopping point here. I'm not really sure if we're going to be able to get more of this game.
Yeah, we'll see. It might be that Spectator is just bugged right now. I imagine we might just have to go to a break and see if it can resolve. And if it doesn't, well, we'll just be into the next one.
Yeah, I do agree with you. I think we should throw it to a break. We'll come back in a couple minutes. If it's resolved, well, then you'll get some more gameplay. If it's not, then you'll see our faces. Welcome back, and hopefully we don't get inted by Spectate Client this time around. Last game, Roehampton able to pick up another win, so 2-0 for them today. They are looking to potentially go 3-0, but they have to beat UCL DJJ, and that seems like a little bit more of a tricky task.
Yeah, I kind of want to know what the DJJ actually stands for, but I guess we might find out. I guess I know the degenerate. I can't. Like,
no, you're immediately savage.
I'm trying to think of J's now. Like, I don't know, jam jar.
That would be, if that's your name, UCL, you need to rebrand. I'm just saying it right now. But who knows? Maybe they'll let us know in the comments as we finally see Jinx taken away. So Jinx taken away. Okay, they've got their head screwed on, right? They've banned the Zoe, and they've picked Jinx. So they've already taken away some of Roehampton's power.
But Descarora is available to take that lease, not the Lee Sin, the Xin. So Lee Sin is banned, but it will just be likely to be a Jinx and a Felios trade-off, which is absolutely fine. The two strongest ADs currently, and for good reason, both able to scale extremely well and dish out a lot of damage.
Yeah, and with this trade-off, would you be happy to see the Thresh for the Lulu?
Well, it depends. I actually think Felios' best pairing currently would be the Lulu. I'd actually. It depends on what else you want to play. Of course, the Lantern does give safety, and if you have other things like jungle that you want to set up using the Lantern, then that is an option that you can take. We did have a Karma Hover, but it will be a Teemo instead, which we'll wait on the proxy for that because I don't think that's a Teemo.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be one step too far, you know, with the trolling stuff, and it is Thresh. So there we go. And also shout out to Roehampton's ADC, Patrick, as he picked up a pentakill.
Yep.
But we couldn't bring that to you to stream because, well, obviously, we only got up to 10 minutes.
Yeah, but of course, first Thresh, pretty quintessential pairing there, and it is NBA Hook Boys Thresh, which is a spectacle. If you haven't seen it before, definitely be looking at that one. So, of course, Comfort there, a very strong pick. Good bot side. I mean, I do expect some jungle picks that will be helped facilitate that, as you do want to use the Lantern for a little bit more than just the Aphelios. Bring some people in with that. And we have Kench Carly. Now, that Kench is still a flex. Could be played with the Jinx to provide some safety or go into the top side.
Yeah, to be fair, Kench has been kind of cool since, you know. Like I kind of like the rework that they did with him. Obviously, making him more of a support than a top laner. He was pretty annoying to play in the top lane because, well, I don't know, man. Like he just didn't die. Like it's just not fun to play against. Like
Yeah.
so, yeah, I know Watley is a notorious person on Twitter and also Tam Kench player. But yeah, no one likes your champ. So I'm glad it got changed. But going back into this game, Sion being picked up. Jojo does like a bit of Sion. Famously got a question wrong in the quiz show back in the day on Sion, and he didn't get marked for that because he was a Sion main. Yeah.
Well, what was the question? The song?
Well, it was about the name of the passive.
Ah,
I believe was what he
okay.
got wrong.
I do not know anything about the name of the passive of Sion. Unfortunately, I'm not a based Sion enjoyer myself, and I am a Aphelios enjoyer, which is also getting picked this game. Was good to see that. Some bans coming out. Zin, of course, Desk has played a little bit of that and is currently, in my opinion, one of the strongest junglers on the patch, and I think in most people's opinions as well.
Yeah, no, definitely very strong. Also, the fact that you can play that early tempo, it's really useful at the moment. Obviously, we know Roehampton love a bit of early tempo, so it does fit pretty well, but they are going to ban it away there, so DJJ, once again, they're coming correct. You know, they're banning the right bans. I feel they're definitely setting themselves up for success. We'll see if they can take it away, though, because obviously, it's still a tough ask. You can pick the picks, you can ban the bans. At the end of the day, it's all about execution in the game.
Yeah, that is it. And currently, UCL got the perfect execution on their side, so we'll see how that comes to fruition as we wait for some more picks. Vex banned yet again. They really just don't want Savagery having this pick today, clearly. I don't know what it is about the Vex recently. Of course, Vex can just kill you if she has enough items on her belt. But right now, I mean, you got Engage, you got some pretty good backline damage. I'm looking for some AP and a Facilitator, and Hecarim is one of those.
Yeah, I think also the Vex, just to say, I think because you can kind of stop a lot of mobility, obviously Akali trying to dash around, do things, you can't do that if you're feared. So it is a little bit of a counter to that. The Hecarim being picked up, you did talk about the early game, just a good replacement. We are going to see what the side of DJJ do decide to lock in. The Sejuani is being hovered, and I do like the Sejuani here. You know, they have a lot of melee. It's good against Hecarim, can lock him down. Beefy frontline. I think it's a good lock-in.
Yeah, currently Roehampton have a very close quarters team. Whilst he does have the access to Calibrum in situations to be able to have a little bit more range, that is only 1 out of his 5 weapons. Most of the time he wants to be a little bit closer to you than most AD carries do. So picking a Sejuani here is actually really good stylistically into Roehampton. And the Fiora, that is a free matchup into Sion, but it depends on how you execute. And Fiora is a very execution-heavy champion.
Yeah, and also nice with the Sejuani as well, another melee added to the rosters. We did have a few proxies going in there, so they are just going to rerun back that draft, but it shouldn't be too long before we get into game number 3. And there was the Veigar being hovered. I'm not sure if it is actually Veigar. I do recall Savagery having played it, though, before, so it could be. It is definitely viable. We'll have to see if that is confirmed soon.
Yeah, I would be pretty happy with the Veigar here. You need a really heavy source of AP damage because of the rest of your team is just raw AD. So a very scaling source like Veigar, who reaches really high AP numbers, gets so much value here when they're incentivized. You're incentivized to itemize armor. Really incentivized. Into Aphelios, Hecarim, Sion, you want armor. But then a Veigar's here, and then he doesn't even need to build that much pen to basically be doing true damage to you if he has the AP values.
Yeah, no, agreed. We were in draft, and now we're not in draft, so we're gonna have to run that one back again. But yeah, I like the Veigar pick a lot. I think also it gives you that nice buffer in the team fight where you can kind of put the cage down. Aphelios can stand on one side, enemy team on the other. You get a little bit of time to get that damage down because obviously Aphelios does a lot of damage, but quite squishy.
Yeah, definitely quite squishy. Has a lot of potential sustain, but if you have burst damage, that's where you can kill him. And yeah, I would say UCL have a decent amount of burst damage. You have Akali, you can then go in. I mean, Fiora can do if you can get those vitals off quickly enough. That's a lot of damage, but Akali is the main culprit here with that AP.
Yeah, and we'll have to see if Fiora decides to play for a split push game as well. Because
yes, a hole breaker.
Notoriously a good hole breaker at the moment, so strong. Sion, obviously we've all seen, popularized as being quite a bit of split pusher as well. But Fiora does have ways to deal with the Sion. So I do think that there's a little bit of an interesting matchup there. I do wonder if it's going to be mainly a 4 versus 4, or if the side of DJJ actually going to say, you know what, we're going to take it as a 5 versus 5.
Yeah, I think his problem is that because you have the Fiora, your team fight isn't amazing. Akali also has some issues. She really needs an angle in team fights to be able to find these. And when you have Hecarim and San, which are two pretty beefy champions, and Fresh is also really good at just frustrating you with the Flay and the Hook, it's quite hard to find easy team fight angles. So it may end up being better that you just try and play for side lanes using both the Akali and the Fiora, because they are both very threatening side laners that, to be honest, Roehampton don't have good answers for.
Yeah, and it's going to put them to the test. I think that this is definitely their hardest challenge that they've faced so far. Let's see if they can make this one count as well. Do they maybe go 6-0 after day 2? Are they going to finally find the team that can beat them? A lot of these questions are to be asked, but we have we have a bit of time. I guess not too long a time before we go into game. But Sejuani, obviously we talked about the power of the solo laners.
Yep.
There's also a jinx on the game. Does Sejuani kind of play whichever lane is best, or do you think it's probably more of a solo lane angle to try and build up momentum?
So Sejuani obviously has the engage. This is a very big deal. That ultimate is really good lockup. You can come in, stun some people up, and Sejuani actually has surprisingly good early game damage, and this is something people don't always remember about Sejuani. Yes, she's a tank, but she actually hurts quite a lot early on. You can take a lot of damage and be caught off guard, by that champion. So you can be very proactive, and the thing that I think UCL should be doing is using that proactivity towards the top side. Fiora into Sion is a free lane for Fiora. Sion can't do anything. You have your big Q, the big thing where you have this big hitbox and it's completely broadcast. Fiora has an ability called parry and or riposte, and you can just parry the entire thing, stun the Sion, reduce its attack speed, and Sion just doesn't have a very nice day.
Yeah, and now I will say there is a little bit of counterplay with that. Obviously, you can hold on to that a little bit longer. Riposte does have a certain time, and also you can cancel it early. But I do agree with you. It is a bit of a tough time for Sion, plus the tank shot that you get with Grand Challenge. Yep. It does make it a difficult lane, but we have seen Sions get ahead, and we've also seen Fiora's behind. So there is potentially a world where we maybe get that Sion just a little bit too far ahead and very strong, and obviously that could be due to Dez. Dez, though, ganking top, it doesn't seem to be really on the cards for me. I think the way Roehampton like to play, it's all about that mid, it's all about that bot lane. Jojo is just a weak side king.
Yeah, but it's a little bit different here because we have Savagery on Veigar rather than a roam-focused champion. Of course, Veigar has a very free lane into Akali in terms of being able to farm up, and that's absolutely fine. I think the zone control that Veigar provides here is really good against the Fiora, against the Akali, especially if they're trying to look for a flank. Cage is an amazing tool here for Savagery, but I actually expect less roams from Savagery. I'm still expecting Desk to go for bot, because it's Aphelios Fresh. You can get pushed quite easily in a lot of situations with Aphelios. And yes, there is a Kench to provide the eat there, but if you dive early enough and you set up stacked waves, it will be difficult for UCL to defend that, but it does depend on where BuBu Bang is positioning. Hopefully plays a little bit better than BuBu and WE right now.
yeah, definitely. I'm excited for this game, man. Like, I say this a lot, but I genuinely just love casting League of Legends, man. It's super fun, and Roehampton are a fun team to watch. They like to play with fire. They like to have that early game pressure. They're not a team that sits about, and just kind of farms it up till 35. Then we have one team fight, and then they're ready to go from the get. And I'm also excited to see if we see any tower dives as well. Obviously, it has been a bit of a specialty for them today, but is 200 years enough experience?
Oh, yeah, I mean, how many years is the question? Axe Uwu piloting it today. Here's the thing. If Eris gets free lethality, you build an LDR, there's a Kench, there's a Fiora, there's a Sejuani, you're going to be doing a lot of damage. It's just whether you can protect him enough to be able to get that damage off. And Akali is going to be your main problem there. That's what you have to watch out for. It could be, if they really want to, you can take the cleanse here into something like Sejuani, because just being able to remove that not Glacial Prison, that's Lissandra's ult. I actually don't remember what Sejuani's ult is actually called.
I'm pretty sure you're
is
right.
it Glacial Prison?
Yeah,
okay. Yeah, I am correct. I've just second guessed myself. But yeah, being able to remove that is quite good here. But we'll just go for the heal that is better for the lane. Of course, that's absolutely fine. You have enough protection between Fresh and Savagery, hopefully, in team fights.
I kind of miss Sejuani's old ult. That's what I'm saying. And I don't think enough people say that. You know, I think that it was super good. Obviously a little bit OP. I will say, like, the fact that you could get 5-man in the stun, kind of nasty. But, I don't know, the new one just seems a little bit lackluster. You know, you get the 1-man, and then you're kind of chilling. I don't know. I prefer the old one. But either way, the old rework, that just happened for Sejuani. So we kind of have to move past that. We can't live in the past. We're now in the present. We'll see if it's going to be a gift for Roehampton. Will they be able to pick up 6-0? That is what they're playing for in this last match of the day.
Yeah, there it is. And one thing I was thinking about after I mentioned the Vigar lane is that sometimes you do see Predator coming out, and Savagery being Savagery does decide to take the Predator, so we will probably be seeing some Vigar roams. Doesn't really want to farm it up till 20 minutes or 40 minutes. Actually does want to be proactive on the Vigar, which is absolutely fine.
Yeah, tell me you play action without telling me you play action. Savagery, they're taking the Predator, loves a good roam. Obviously, we got saw it at least in the first 10 minutes of the last game. He was able to be very proactive and make plays across the map, and we'll see if that is going to be followed by this one. And I'm not going to jinx it too hard, but we haven't got any pauses just yet.
Okay, well, right now it's okay. Descaro has spotted out the ward from Steven Dad, but they're currently unable to remove that, so they will know that the top side is being started for Hecarim. I'm currently looking to do some damage there. I mean, okay.
Yeah, definitely a weird start. I don't really see this going, well, maybe they could get the early smite from Hecarim, maybe they could cause some problems, but to be honest, it didn't really do much, and Hecarim just going to be able to take that red buff and walk away, and Sejuani going to match that as well. So jungler starting opposite sides. Hecarim going to have that first initial gank onto that bot side or mid, where Sejuani is going to be on the top side of the map.
Yeah, I'm not sure what Steven Dad was going for there. You already have the vision with the ward there. You don't really need to pester. Hecarim's clear is really healthy, so doing some damage to him really amounts to absolutely nothing. And you only got one auto off onto top strong roll, so Jojo just moves back to top lane on effectively full health. And as a Saran anyway, he's just going to push back into tower farming. But it is what it is, and outside of that, it will just be normal clears.
Yeah, and Savagery there showing us a little bit of prowess on this champion, able to get that cage, landing those Qs, stacking that magic. And I was watching a Veigar game yesterday. We were kind of talking about how you need that scaling, but to be honest, Veigar can build up that AP so quick that he is going to be problematic from very early on, but we may see a gank early here.
Okay, let's see if Savagery can put up some fight. Will just be a flash.
And I like that, you know. At least it was respectful. Immediate flash, you know. Didn't hesitate. Just boom, dash coming in. Get yourself away.
Yeah, and I mean, you're a Vigar in the early game. It shouldn't be too bad. You can play relatively safe as this champion, but we have an invade.
Yeah, DJJ going all in for this. They get the knockup onto Dez, who is now in a lot of trouble. Does try and ghost, but it's just too much CC to handle. Will go down first blood over to DJJ, but now the turnaround is here. Savagery looking for his kill. Will get one. Will they be able to find more? The 3v3, the knockup just slightly out of range. And it will be 1-for-1 over in that first skirmish, I guess.
And here's the thing when you stack up onto Hecarim is you're getting so much extra healing out of Spirit of Dread when that happens, and they just kept Descar alive for long enough for Roehampton to lay down the damage onto UCL. But at the end of the day, it was a really good invade from UCL, and this was partly due to the vision in topside. You know that Hecarim's coming down here. You have this information. You can then pivot up the bot lane, who got the priority, so you can be there first in the play, which gives you the first blood.
In that top side, we talked about Fiora having a good time. Not having that good a time in that trade, actually. Jojo getting the better of Steven Dad in this early one. And upper level as well, been able to make a lot of things happen.
Right, I'm very confused currently because I see a tier being built on Fiora. Unless I'm unaware of some new solo queue text at the moment, that is very unusual, and that is not the build path you normally see from this champion. And that is probably why Fiora isn't having quite a fun time. Normally you get the extra AD, but it was just a bit of an executional mistake.
Yeah, Savagery in this mid lane taking a very weird fight with his Akali, as we do see both junglers on the side are going to go to war. Immediately Sejuani actually getting the better of the Hecarim there, even though a level down.
Yeah, I mean, both junglers hovering in mid lane, support up there. Just trying to be proactive, and this is something you can do in Sejuani. It's just look for these opportunities because your early ganks are really good.
Yeah, the early ganks are good. It's nice to see a team finally trying to set the pace against Roehampton. You know, obviously, we talked about them having good early game. We talked about them winning games fast, but I feel like a lot of that is because they get to set their own tempo, whereas DJJ have come in and said, you know what, we're going to start picking up the pace.
Yeah, and this is just partly due to the way the draft played out. I mean, Savagery isn't... At the end of the day, yes, you have Predator as Vigor, but you're still a Vigor. Your early game power is not really all that high, whereas Sejuani has a lot of potential for roams. Kench does a lot of baseline damage and has the W to be able to follow up. So you have better pressure early on because of your draft on UCL, and that's probably why we're seeing a little bit more of a restrained playstyle from Roehampton.
Maybe it's the first game that we see go 30 minutes. You know, maybe this is the first team to really push Roehampton to those limits, but it's still very early doors. A lot of scaling can happen. A lot of snowballing does normally occur with Roehampton, so we will have to hold that judgment for the moment.
Yep, I mean, outside of that, currently pretty standard. The Cloud Drake has spawned. So yet again, no Cloud Soul, always good to see that. But here's the Fresh.
There is the Lantern. Hecarim going to be charging forward. We are going to see Tam Kench just get themselves safely out and away, but it is going to be the Jinx that does pay. The price going to be taken down as we do get a pause.
Yeah, a bit of a disconnect there. I think Bang has left the game. But that is just NBA Hookboy really showing his namesake there. Bringing out the Lantern for the Hecarim, then flashing into range of a Flay. Fresh masterclass from the Hookboy. And this is why we talked about this in draft with the Lantern. If you're going to pick Fresh rather than an enchanter like Lulu or another setup for the Aphelios, you want to pair that with a jungler who can use that Lantern to set up ganks and give you pressure in the lane.
Yeah, and they did just that perfect execution, but this time not Akali. And with this pause going down, it does feel like Roehampton have started to get a little bit of momentum. Admittedly, they are ever so slightly behind in gold, and I do think that's mainly due to the farm. Obviously, we can see in top side a bit of a farm lead. The same is occurring in the bot side and in the solo lane mid as well.
Yeah, so we think it is resumed. It's probably just the bug where it's, oh, you know, we've unpaused and then it's gonna resume the game in a moment, and I'm hoping that I'm not gonna get baited, because I've been baited by this multiple times in Spectator. It's gonna start again. It's gonna do it.
Yeah, it should start again.
Come on.
We are hopefully going to be able to get back into the game. Oh, there we go. We're moving. We're moving. It's all good. It's all good. No drama. It's all good. We are back into the game. Pray to the spectate gods that it continues like this. Because, yeah, we obviously want to bring you as much action as we can. As we're now talking about action. Top side, more fighting occurring. Fiora not really finding that much damage onto Sarnia. Not having the pressure that we maybe expected.
Yeah, you CSD up. That's great. But, yeah, I would definitely say that it is slightly a bit of a mistake from Fiora. Like, just an execution earlier. We saw Sion somehow getting the trade-off with the Q, so it might have been a bad use of parry at some point in the lane. But it might also be the op for Conqueror. Conqueror is absolutely fine as a rune, but you can get so many grass procs off onto a Sion.
And we are going to get another pause coming through. I believe that Sejuani, it might be Sejuani again, having a little bit of technical difficulties, but hopefully they can just reconnect. And hopefully the spectate doesn't then decide, you know what, we want more pauses in the game and start doing it for free. But looking at the relative power of this team, we've kind of talked about scaling in most of the games. I want to bring it up once again. Obviously, Jinx on the side of DJJ. Big scaling factor, so is Akali. But is the Veigar Aphelios a little bit too much to handle?
This entirely depends on how this early game goes, because right now Roehampton are slightly behind in general. If we look at CSDs, there are CSDs everywhere except for the jungle, which is kind of expected because of the way that Bang has been playing. But if Roehampton falls a little bit too far behind in the early, it might be difficult for them to scale. But if they go even by 15, then I actually think it's fine.
Thresh there, almost landing the hook, but it will not be just yet, as in the top side, Jojo finding a way to smash down this Fiora and really causing some big problems, as we do get the pause after the pause, and hopefully it chills out from that one and we can just move on to the game. So we do see the Rocket in the bot lane, and it's going to connect onto Aphelios, but pretty much full HP, only going to take it down to half.
Yep, I mean, at the end of the day, all we're doing is pushing in the wave, ensuring that they have to stay under towers. You can get priority for the dragon. But somehow, Jojo is just constantly outplaying Steven Daddy here, which is just not how his matchup should go.
Yeah, it is. Maybe this is a bit of a risky pick now. You know, we did talk about Fiora getting behind, and obviously if JoJo is able to start picking up these wins in the trade as well, then there is a little bit of cause for concern. But also we have to have a quick look at that build again, because they still got the tier. Maybe it's a mana immune.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, because Fiora doesn't generally need this. She copes relatively okay with mana for the most part. Steven Gang could get a kill here.
Yeah, it does have the grand challenge. It's going to be able to proc that one all four, but Sion, very tanky, going to have to flash away. Does get picked up there, though. Okay, Fiora really flexing. Well, I was going to say muscles, but she's pretty slender.
Yeah, and this is how this matchup should go. Sion should not really be allowed to ever put pressure out, because this happens. You just walk up, you press your R button, or you just press Q, and you get those vital procs off, and Sion just dies. So this is now a much bigger lead for Steven Dad. Hopefully be able to build some AD now to actually be able to pressure JoJo a little bit more. That's what I would expect to see. But we'll see if Deskaro can maybe try and put an end to this, or maybe just JoJo outplaying at some point.
Yeah, we do see Sedge on the top side, so imagining that the gank would be coming through for DJJ rather than Roehamption as JoJo, you know what, coming back strong, able to get some good trades back on Fiora.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it's a Sion. You get enough stacks on your health, eventually you scale up to be quite a bit of a monster and a pain in the butt to kill. Deskaro currently looking for something in mid lane as...
Oh, savagery. Almost won the kill with Primordial Burst, but it will not be so. Dez, well, that's that's just unfortunate if you're a Kali. Immediately just gets swept off of the map. So a good run there from Dez will claim that kill, giving Savagery the assist as well. Maybe they look for more pressure on the bot side. We do see Aphelios pushing in this Jinx.
Yeah, I mean, Des just gets the drive by there. Really nice. That actually puts you even on gold now. Of course, was only a slight advantage towards UCL from the beginning, so nothing too much to be a cause for concern. But what is a cause for concern is the fact that UCL had put out this pressure early on, but it's just not present anymore. I don't know why Bubio's just decided, you know what, I'm just going to try and even out my farm statistics, but I really would like to see more ganks from the Sejuani, because it's something that she is very capable of doing.
Yeah, and obviously if Roehamption do start to build momentum, that is where we said it's kind of like both teams are relatively even, but if you do get ahead, it is going to be pretty simple to stay ahead. So it's what they don't want to see happening, and if they do have that advantage of having that early tempo, it's what we praise them for in the early game, they really need to use it.
Yeah, so currently, I mean, Drake's advantage for UCL, probably just looking up to contest more of those when the next one does spawn. But right now, I mean, yeah, JoJo taking a bit of a bad trade, but you just reset there, that's not a problem. Outside of that, not much else. NBA hopefully looking for something, potentially.
Yeah, but a bad trade with the tower as well. I don't know if that was like 400 IQ saving the wave or something, or if he just wanted to check the tower worked. I don't really know why he decided to take like 4 tower shots, but either way, Izan gets plates, gets out, does not donate a kill over. But he's going to have to go back to base. Does have the unstoppable onslaught though, so can run a little bit quicker down back to the lane, as we do see Dez also in the top side. Maybe a gank, but I'm not sure if they know that the Sejuani is there.
I'm surprised the Sejuani's not decided to pop the Herald here, because I think you could have just cashed it in. I suppose it's just the fact that you got Deskaro on Vision, so just play it safe there, and it's like the Sion can come back relatively quickly, and it could end up being a bit of a problem. But I really think that with a Sejuani Fiora, who the Fiora being slightly ahead, and this is a Sion without much damage at this point in the game and had to use ult to get back to lane in time, you drop down the Herald, you cash in the plane for Fiora, and then Fiora is just really accelerating and JoJo can't do much about it?
Yeah, it's... well, question mark ping is what we throw on the cast. We are going to see a little bit of damage there from the Aphelios over the wall using that Caliber to great advantage, but it's definitely the slowest game we've watched today.
Yeah, I mean, by this point in game 1, we already... half the map was already pushed in, but here we go again.
Oh, it's heating up, though. There they go, dropping the Moonlight Vigil. That's going to be 1 kill already, but it is traded over as Hecarim jumps into the back line, but pushes Jinx the wrong way, and Sejuani now trying to solo out the Aphelios. Will they be able to get the Gravitum? They get frozen up, and that's going to be another kill as Hecarim trying to run away now, but could be in big trouble. Has damage for Sejuani, but not going to be able to get into range, and that is going to be another one for the Jinx, and that is now going to be some tower plates with the Herald dropping a huge influx of gold onto the carry of DJJ.
And that's going to be a first tower for UCL most likely coming through. Might even interrupt the TP, and though the TP does manage to go off, but Jinx, that's a huge amount of gold. And that's shut down immediately.
Yeah, rip Jinx as a primordial burst. It's just, you know, why it's not a skill shot or something, I do not know. But yeah, it is pretty unavoidable, and it's going to be an easy pickup there for Veigar. But to be honest, if you're the Jinx, you're not too sad about that. You know, obviously, yes, dying, not great. Veigar picking up kills in gold, not great. But you gain towers, you gain kills, you're just huge.
Here we go again. Another one in mid lane as it goes back to top side.
And it's
And nothing happens.
a nice ult there from Tam. You know, able to keep his mid laner alive there with the Devour. Just able to postpone Roehampton once again.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that Roehampton does have currently up their sleeve is savagery. And savagery getting that shutdown is a very big deal.
Oh, they do secure the Drake as well, so Sejuani now in a bit of trouble. Is going to be taken pretty low there. That's an easy pickup for Roehampton, but will they be able to get away safely? Akali is looming and does jump back into this one, taking them very low. Picks up one, should be able to get their second, and maybe even more. Sekram low over the wall, but they're not going to be able to find that double kill though to the Akali. Perfect execution once again, and Ro picking up good advantages, but then maybe overstaying a little bit.
Yo May currently showing the fact that, yeah, you know, the Akali looking relatively clean there. Got the confidence to go in there, dive in, burn the flash, and pick up some kills. This is really big because now you've kind of, yeah, you lose the Drake, but you actually gain so much money out of this play. And putting it into the Akali is a massive deal because the Akali is the biggest problem for Aphelios to deal with. If you kill the Aphelios, you remove a lot of damage in these fights, and the same goes to Veigar. If the cage isn't up or you play around the cage, you get a flank, then Savagery might just die and doesn't get to use the money he has.
Yeah, so on that, just charging away. That was pretty loud. Maybe we turn the gain sound a little bit down because Sion, damn bro, you don't need to shout that much to sound like a play-by-play caster out here. But with this game going slightly into the favor of UCL DJJ, or not even slightly, 4K up in gold, I'm excited to see Roehampton tested. You know, this is really where champions made. Can you come back from these bad early games? Can you bring yourselves into this game? We'll have to find out. Savagery in a bit of trouble here. The Akali is just waiting for that cage to drop.
Yeah, a bit of an early cage here. Akali still has the resources.
But, well, ultimately deciding not to really use them as they're going to be put in another cage. Does get stunned as they're going to be jumping in with the Fear Bar. A good Shroud will keep them safe for a little bit longer. Now being chased down, but it feels like an inevitable. I feel like Akali is going to die here. There's the Primordial Burst, and it is going to be an easy pickup. So, Akali, for all of the tricks that you do have, you can't dodge the ult from Veigar.
Yeah, certainly got a lot more resources than the Akali deserved to, as well played by Yoyome. But, yeah. Overextension, a little bit overzealous on Savagery, so you avoid the initial circumstance. I feel like you stop chasing there, you back off and leave it at that. But because you have Desk having to invest himself in the bot side to make that play in favor of Roehampton, UCL get the Herald.
Yeah, Herald definitely worth it for one kill, especially if you can get some towers off it. Obviously the plates have expired now, but opening up the map if you can get that mid-tier 1, maybe even the mid-tier 2 off a really good push is absolutely huge.
Yeah, and this is something that we really do want to see UCL doing. They currently have the lead, and yes, it's not a major lead, and because Roehampton had the scaling, I wouldn't say it's too bad, but it is still a lead nonetheless, and that is what you should be pressuring. You have the champions to do so. You have a Fiora who is now very stacked after the initial kill onto Sion. Open up mid, open up the jungle, and you open up lanes to be able to go to other lanes and put pressure out. That's exactly what you want to do on this Sejuani.
And they are able to keep the pressure up. I'm looking to see if they translate this well into mid game though, because obviously we talked about the early game strategy. Sejuani, get those ganks down, get your laners ahead. Mid game now, looking at those early team fights. Obviously that's mainly setting up around objectives, still finding picks if you can. But this is where I feel like is the real breakdown. You know, this is where Roehampton really normally take their leads when they get to start switching it into those 5v5s.
Yeah, we'll see exactly how this happens. They have a really good team fight. Savagery still currently deathless, and is currently built. He's building what? The build box changed. He's holding onto tier. That's either Shadow Flame or he's going directly into Rabadon. We'll see in due course which one it will be.
Yeah, right now DJJ just quite happily going to push it down this mid tier 1. They do have Oh no, they don't have the Herald. It's in the Fiora's hands. I thought it was in the Sejuani for a second. As we are going to see Akali stunned up there. That's going to be the Aerofrost as well. The Primordial Burst just not enough, but the last Q will connect. And Veigar, well, Savagery just proving that he has mastery over Veigar as well. Really putting in the work against this Akali.
And now Savagery is a real problem. You have a Deathless Vigo who's 4-0-2 at this point in the game. He probably has the majority of the gold in the pockets of Roehampton. And yeah, there it is, 7,300. Obviously not quite as much as the Jinx who has been donated first tower plating. But that's a lot of money for a Vigo who will super scale into late game. And because you have these AD threats, has extreme value versus UCL's comp.
And we see even more play around the Veigar here as well, as they're anticipating something to go down. You know, obviously Veigar could have been picked up before the Dragon, but I think Ro are just going to try and contest this one. It is going to be a Mountain Soul map, which is definitely worth it for both teams.
Yeah, absolutely. Both teams really want to contest this. Mountain Soul is huge for both teams because if you get it on the side of UCL, you're mitigating those values.
Well, Akali is not going to be having a fun walk today. Straight into the Tribush and straight into 4 members of Ro. They pick up that one easily and now can start to pressure this Drake. And it should be pretty uncontested, but we do have to watch out. DJJ are pushing down the mid lane and we know about Jinx and towers.
Yeah, so good recognition here. You say, okay, well, we lose the Drake, immediately go mid, pop Herald top lane, put tower pressure on, try and get some structures off of this because you have really good side laners in Fiora and Akali, which can eventually let these towers convert into something a lot more.
Yeah, talking about towers, we are going to see 2 tier 2s picked up there, 1 in the mid, 1 in the top, and now we get the crash of the Herald into the top tier 3 as well. Big tower plays for DJJ, obviously losing the Dragon, not optimal, but definitely worth.
Yeah, and here's the problem. You get the 2 towers. This is good. So we need to keep seeing pressure in these side lanes. Let Fiora. I mean, I hope the Fiora does go for a Hull Breaker or something like this because it is just an amazing game right now. Until the fact that Hull Breaker is a massive stat stick. Drop the Fiora in a lane. Contest some objectives. Slow those down. Let the Fiora split push. But what you do have to be careful about is not giving too many Drakes away because if you let Roehampton stack mountains up, Savagery not only gets more AP just because of the fact that you're able to let Savagery farm, but this is making Savagery a lot harder to kill because of the bonus resistances that he gets.
Yeah, and it's not just the Primordial Burst. All of the abilities from Veigar that do damage do a lot of damage. You know, it's he drops stars from the sky, and it does feel like it. So it's definitely one to really keep your eye on, and if he can get off those rotations in those fights, it could be a huge win for Roehampton. But they've now swapped Akali over against the Sion. We'll see if they can do a little bit better, because against the Veigar, they weren't having the best time. And to be fair, it's not looking that great. I'm not going to lie. They're trying to do damage. Sion is basically saying no, but they might be able to get away. Perfect execution over the wall.
Yep, Akali has enough mobility to get there. Of course, White can't really throw out that death sentence that early because Akali will just dash out of it otherwise. I mean, that's good from Yome, but the problem is now you don't have the resources, so you have to back out of any plays you want to make on the top side, as we now have Savagery matching Fiora.
Yeah, and I feel like this is really the telltale sign of how things are going to go. If Fiora can start to pick up these kills onto Savagery, then very worrying for Roehampton. Whereas on the flip side, it could be worrying for the side of DJJ as they do jump through the wall. But there is a Primordial Burst. That's a lot of damage, but it's not going to be enough. And Fiora finds the kill. A nice flash to secure that one.
Steve and Dad making it up for the executions and those blunders in early game versus Jojo, getting the solo kill, massive shutdown.
Ooh, Hecarim almost pushing the Akali out of that knockover. They are going to secure it, and that does mean Baron has to be stopped for the moment. And Bear Hook Boy now looking for this. Hook does get it onto the Sejuani, not finding the Jinx just yet, but Aphelios able to work in these autos. We do see Sam joining this fight, but is it going to be enough? Oh, a huge Moonlight Vigil over the top, and Hecarim going to be able to sweep away the final kill. That is going to be a Baron for the side of Roehampton.
200 years of punishment onto the side of UCL, and that was a 20% chance to happen. That Moonlight Vigil crit, and that is the only reason why it did that much damage. 3 people on a crit, that is 3 crits hitting 3 times onto them. When that Infernum ult crits, it does exponentially more damage.
Damn, that was a lot of quick math right there. My name is not Big Shax. That was a little bit difficult, but we are going to see the Baron picked up. Steven Dad does find 1 kill for themselves. That's easy math that I can do. as they should be able to walk away here. Although I'm saying that, Aphelios may be a little bit caught out. You don't really want to be standing against the Fiora like this. And that's going to be another kill over to Steven Dad. And it's all falling apart. Akali now joining the fight. They're looking for the Hecarim. Des just out of range. As Avery might be the next target, but with the cage is going to be able to separate himself from any chasers.
This Fiora is becoming a little bit of a problem right now. 4-0-0, most farm in the game. I don't know if she has the most money in the game, but she probably does now. At 3 items, completed that hull breaker. You can no longer dedicate one person in the side lane to Steven Dad. You have to match it with more than one, and this is really difficult for Roehamption to deal with. They now have to split the map. If UCL play the map properly between Akali, Sejuani, and Fiora, you can decision check Ro.
Yeah, it is definitely going to be a tough one to match. Obviously, Hullbreaker has been bought for the Silence, so it will give Jojo a little bit more of an opportunity, but it is still going to be a very rough time indeed. Thankfully, for Ro, they did pick up the Baron, though, before it could go over to the side of DJJ. So it does mean Fiora is not going to be Baroned up, as we see Tam Kench there, just getting immediately removed from the map. That should be an easy dragon over to the side of Ro.
Yeah, a little bit too fixated on support life there. Just, you know, I'm going to go and get some vision. It's just doing my job. I'm a bit bored in the game as a Tom Kench. I'll go have some fun in the enemy jungle, but no, you just get killed for it. Unfortunate, but it is what you get.
Yeah, talking about unfortunate, Fiora just causing way too many problems in this top side. He's going to be able to take the tier 3. Now looking for the inhib, but in the mid lane, we do see the charge from the Hecarim trying to finish off that Jinx. But Akali on the backside just absolutely removes Aphelios from the game. No chance to turn that one around, as we do see the Hecarim drop as well. It is falling apart for Roehamption, but Veigar just going to say no. Stop right there, my guy. Kills off the Jinx with relative ease of that Primordial Burst.
Oh, that's what happens when you hit the Rabadon's Death Cap Power Spike. That Primordial Burst is doing a ridiculous amount of damage, but somehow Steven Dad has managed to push in both the inhibitor and a Nexus turret, and is looking to get away with it.
Yeah, talking about ridiculous amount of damage. Steven Dad at 2 towers is exactly that. Hullbreaker, maybe a little bit overtuned. You know, maybe Riot fix the spectate, and then maybe nerf Hullbreaker.
Here's the thing about Hullbreaker, and I think this is partly the reason why it's being built so much recently, is that a few patches ago, we had a slight rework to the Bruiser items, and what this did was remove a lot of health from Bruiser items and replace that with AD. Now, Hullbreaker is one of the few items that still has a lot of health attached to it. 400 health, 50 attack damage, and 150% health regen. That is a stat stick and a half. That item is 121% gold efficient without the passive. In a side lane, that thing is almost 200% gold efficient, and it costs less than 3,000 gold.
Well, when you put it like that, I feel like I can be convinced. It sounds like a good item to buy. We are going to see the power of it right here, as Fiora is going to be removed on the map. Roehamption said, you know what? We heard the call. You can't send 1. We're going to send 5. They get the job done, and they do pick up the kill. But is Jinx going to be able to turn this into towers? They are pushing in the mid lane, but we are seeing the team. That's a big knockup from Tam Kench. Are they going to be able to just stall the backs out long enough? It is seeming to be the plan, but TP from Jojo is going back. That's going to be some trades as well to Roehampton, and things are starting to get a little bit weird in this game.
Yeah, UCL really looking to siege Roehampton down. Currently going to be a tower defense game for Roehampton shortly, as now they have 2 inhibs open and really going to have to push back the waves. The only thing is that UCL traded it for a lot of gold. You got a shutdown on Fiora and 2 additional kills. Now the name of the game is how much you can get done with these open structures, because you just gave a lot of gold to Roehampton. If they can make use of that gold, then you're in trouble.
You do have the Winions pushing in, the minions pushing in into 2 lanes, though. So they do have that potential. Obviously, it does make the map a little bit smaller, though, because you've now got 2 lanes that you don't really need to care about if you are the side of DJJ. Obviously, Roehampton still do need to respond to those, but in terms of putting Fiora in a map, it's really only going to be that bot lane that you want to focus on. And at the moment, I know that we don't have the timers at the moment, but Baron not up for a little bit.
Yeah, and that is going to be a massive objective, because if UCL do manage to secure the big purple worm, then you slam Fiora into 1 lane, you slam 3 in the mid lane, and you slam an Akali in the bot side, or you can just go 4-on-1, and that provides a bit of a problem, but Roehampton might get a pick.
Yeah, also, Tam has been finding a lot of these problems around the map. Many a time we've seen them getting caught out by these death brushes, but it's not been to too much of a difficult effect for the side of DJJ. We are going to have to see if Roehampton can kind of capitalize. Can they maybe steal another Baron? Can they maybe get another big team fight with this Aphelios? It feels like you have to fight without the Fiora, though.
Yeah, here's the thing. I mean, maybe it's the Hail Mary Moonlight visual you're playing for. I mean, it's an RNG game you're playing with the crit chance on that one, but it can win you games. Savagery currently doing a lot of damage as well, but it's stuff like this. If this Akali walks up without the vision, it could end up being pretty good.
Yep, it definitely could. They are going to hit the Shuriken Flip onto Savagery. They will be able to get away safely, but they just need to buy time. Fiora is pushing. Fiora is going to be a problem. There is no doubt about that. It is going to happen. It's just a matter of when, not if.
And here's the problem. Baron spawning soon. We saw this earlier. Roehampton had to dedicate 5 people initially to kill Steven Dad. Currently you have 2. That might be enough to kill Steven Dad, but the problem is Roehampton now faces the problem that there's a Baron getting started up on the top side, and Savagery might just be dead.
Oh, Savagery is going to be feeling the Akali pain. That is why I don't like the champion, as we do see Des going into the Baron pit, but that is very early on. Not going to be able to get the steal here. That's going to be a Tam Kench knock-up. It's going to be a kill, and in the top side, it's going to be a tower as well. Roehampton just losing on all fronts in this game. Aphelios also trying to damage back onto Steven Dad, but it is going to be the Jojo pickup for him, and then he can just dip.
And that's the Baron, complete Fiora going in for it.
Dashing forward, manages to get 1 kill already. Hookboy now on the run, trying to get out of this one, but I don't think it even matters. The tower is going to fall regardless of whether he was alive, but that is going to be the ace in the base, and that will be the first defeat for Roehampton in the NSE, dealt to them by DJJ.
And I just feel like you have to send a complaint to Riot saying 2 words, nerf Hullbreaker, because that is what lost you the game.
Why? Why is this item so strong? You know, we've had this talk before, right? Okay. Banner of Command. You decided that wasn't a good idea. Why did you bring it back?
So what we had was a situation where Fiora got accelerated. So we had a play in top lane where Fiora manages to get 1 kill for the blunder from Jojo. And then Sejuani pivots up there, puts some more pressure, Fiora gets farm, eventually gets ahead of the Sion matchup. This should have happened a little bit earlier, but as Steven Dad made some blunders, it was slightly delayed. But in the end, did come on top of this matchup, and it should be Fiora favoured. Eventually, Fiora built the Hullbreaker, got 4 kills. Now, the problem is that Fiora now goes straight in the side lane, has an insane amount of stats from that item, and also gets resistances. Because of the resistances, you can't dedicate 1 person anymore. Now you have to put 2 people. If you don't have a composition that can deal with that, which Roehampton really didn't, because you don't want to be having to dedicate more than 1 person, because then you can't roam around the map. You don't have roaming champions that can do that.
Yeah, and we talked about the pivotal moment, you know. I said, if Veigar can beat Fiora, well then, there you go. You know, that's going to be the win.
Yeah.
If Fiora beats Veigar, it's there. We saw it. We saw the 1v1. It didn't go the way of Savagery. It went the way of Steven Dad, and then that was the game. And I feel like it's unfortunate, but you have those days. Yeah. You know, Roehampton have had a pretty good run so far. 5-1, 2 more wins today, and they looked really strong in the wins.
Absolutely. I mean, even in defeat there, that was mostly a draft problem because you did blind the Sion, and then in the end you get a Fiora response, which is an amazing counterpick, of course. That is partly on research because Fiora is a really hard champion to execute on, and in most drafts isn't viable. So good draft win there in terms of that topside matchup, and you still had to prioritize it. So it was good execution in the end, despite the few early game blunders by Steven Dad, and you have to give credit to UCL for that.
Yeah, and I think UCL, the draft was good. You know, they banned what we wanted to ban. We've talked about it twice today. Why would you leave Zoe open? They did not. They found a way. They got a good draft. They played it well as well. And all in all, I think a really good set of games today. You know, I think that overall, Roehampton should be pretty happy with themselves. Once again, picking up 2 wins, only 1 loss. So they are going positive for today. Yeah. And, it's been a pretty good time. Do you have any final words for Roehampton?
I mean, outside of sending complaint letters to Riot about Hullbreaker, not too much. I mean, this is really promising. I think you have a lot of team synergy here, and maybe one thing is sometimes it is good to diversify a little bit in terms of styles, but this game it might have been too much of a pivot away from what you were playing the 2 games, and sometimes stepping out of comfort can lead to problems.
Well, that is going to be all from us here today. As always, you can send a follow in to the Twitch. You can also message Riot and say, you know, fix the client. Nerf hole breaker. That would also be pretty pog. But either way, that is going to be all from us today on the stream. Roehampton go 2-1, taking them to a total of 5-1 overall. So still very strong from the Roehampton squad. And we'll have to catch you for the NSC next week.